this point looks like...
Hello and welcome. We are back. You know, you've seen us on the weekend. It's me, SparklingIceTea, and on my side is Jansports, and we are here to bring you Road to Seasonals, MasteringRuneterra's daily tournaments, up until the seasonal on the weekend. And we are, I don't know in what number of edition we are already in, but they've been going on for quite a while. They've been going on for a couple of weeks.
Quite some time. Yeah.
Yeah. So we must be in like the 10th already, right?
Something like that.
Okay, so as usual, we have a $50 prize pool here to grab, and it's going to be 4 rounds of Swiss. And if at the end of those 4 rounds we have more than one player at an X and O score, we are going to jump and get a top 4 bracket where the top 4 players will basically duke it out. Even if some of them don't have an X and O score, they are going to get into top 4 and get basically another chance to duke it out. And I think we've seen before that both the players that were X and O in the end only made 3rd, 4th, and both the players that were 3 and 1 and made it into the top cut were in the final in the end. So it's definitely not over if you lose one time here. Though, again, with only 4 rounds of Swiss, you can't really lose more than one game. think at X and 2,
Yeah.
you are safe
Well,
out.
it's good practice for seasonals. Sometimes it's not the person who went 9-0 in open rounds who ends up doing good in top cut. So you have to be prepared for the open field and the top cut.
For sure, for sure, for sure. I mean, we've seen it so many times in EU, for example. Gamebreaker, absolute EU legend. I think had a couple of Swiss phases where went in 9-0, and in the end, didn't win the seasonal. Got close. Got into, I think, top 8 for a couple of times. But it's a card game, right? Sometimes you just low roll really hard. You get that one loss, get it out of his system, and then if you get into the top 4 still, you can make it and win the whole cup in the end. And that is a story that is beautiful to see in card games. It is also beautiful to see in other games, a lot of a comeback story. Although, again, it's really hard because you can only lose one time today. The comeback story is
Yeah.
not going to be that epic.
There's, one loss is all right. And, it's a smaller tournament. It is a weekday, not as many people available as on the weekends. But, I think a lot of these players are players to pay attention to because they're showing up to these regularly. And now that we're right before seasonals, I think today is going to be less about, spicy new lineups, and more taking those decks that we've seen, we know they're strong, and refining them, constructing lineups around them, figuring out precise ban strategies to really give those percentage points for the open rounds of seasonals this weekend.
Yeah, you talked about it, refining some lists, looking at what's strong, maybe continuing and building lineups upon that. But we've been casting together on the weekend, and we've seen what's strong there. We've seen that Rainbow Fish right now, the new hotness, really strong. Just because Rainbow Fish again is a card that gives you some recurring value, is really good against Quicksand, is really good against Shurima decks, and it's just really, really annoying to deal with. And our first matchup is going to be between What Am I and Easy to Win. And that's interesting because Easy to Win saw 4LW's full, Rainbow Fish lineup and thought, I can innovate on that and I can find another Rainbow Fish deck. And so while he also brought the good old Aphelios Fizz, he also brought a new deck that I didn't expect.
Yeah, and this deck it's doing a lot of things that I kind of like. It's sort of halfway in between the old Tristana Fae Rally Yordle in Arms deck and the new Fae Rainbow Fish to beat Quicksand decks. And the inclusion of the Vanguard Sergeants and Golden Aegises with the Fae package, I think could give this deck a lot of explosivity to beat some of the slower decks like your Sun Discs or your Feel the Rushes.
Yeah, what do you think about Garen instead of Tristana? We are not running quite as many like duplicate region units in this, so I think it would make sense for me to run the Garen, just because it
I
would be
think,
incredibly hard to like level the Tristana.
yeah, I think Tristana, we're not hitting her condition very consistently. And with tools like Gleaming Lantern, Grandfather Fae, the Fleet Feather trackers, it's possible that, the Garen buff that happened with the patch that kind of hasn't made too much of an impact, you can get a pretty sufficiently wide board with the Fae package. And, getting an extra 4/4 worth of stats when you play Garen isn't insignificant.
Oh no, for sure not. Garen is a really cool unit now that he actually gets the Genevieve effect as well. But for me, still doesn't really feel like a champion, but he doesn't need to be a champion in this deck. He can basically just be a Genevieve that can rally you in the future. And in this deck, I feel like Garen really shines. I've been trying a lot of Garen decks. I've been trying like Garen Poppy, didn't really work out. I've been trying a million different versions to build something similar like this, but I never really got the idea to just put in the Rainbow Fish package and the Fae package. So I always failed at the point where I'm like, okay, so how do I close out the game? I got my opponent to 4 HP, But if I don't drop Poppy, if I don't level Poppy, my Poppy Garen deck does nothing. This deck, however, with the bundle package where you can spam some phase on the board, and then if your opponent is left at that crucial 4 HP, you can actually get the Rainbow Fish rolling and get your W that way because you have some elusiveness, because you have some finishing power even through Quicksand and other cards.
Yeah, one of the things that Demacia decks have struggled with is finding that reach. You know, they're good at building a board and using that board to push some damage onto the Nexus, but without keywords like overwhelm or elusive, it's hard to finish the game. Which is why a lot of the successful Demacia decks recently, with Pantheon, which has several ways to get a lot of keywords, the Zenith Blade to give Overwhelm, or the good old Scouts deck, which allows you to kind of go around blockers using the Quinn Valor summon to challenge things, or leveled MF to do Nexus damage directly. This Rainbow Fish Garen list is looking to use the availability of those elusive keywords and the rallies to be able to finish the game with a package that looks quite good at controlling the board in the early game. Fleet Feather, Broadwing, Gleaming Lantern. It's hard to contest that.
Yeah, but let's take a look at the other two decks because both players are already in the challenge, so we don't have much more time. They're currently banning, so we go in and we have, again, another Demacia deck, Misfortune Quinn. There is Genevieve, not Garen, but this deck is also a deck that, again, just has the absolute Demacia beatdown. Now it doesn't have the elusiveness of a, Rainbow Fish in there, but we all know that MF is the real win condition here, and if you flip her, you can absolutely crush your opponents. Now, again, through Vanguard Sergeant, for example, this deck also has now a secondary win condition where you can actually just go really wide on board and swing in with 4 Demacia. It's kind of similar to, for example, how the old Tristana deck used to work. Now, we also have Fizz Affilios, and again, this is the original Rainbow Fish list, also 2 Papercraft Dragons, because they work so well with Fizz. But enough of that, we are going in-game. We are in round 1 here. Bans are already done. Easy to win versus What Am I? And What Am I is this time on much more of a What Am I lineup than the last time we saw him on the weekend, because there, What Am I was on a full aggro lineup. Didn't work out too well for What Am I. Did not get into the top cut in the end. But now, with what I would actually say is much more of a What Am I lineup, I think he has a good chance.
Yeah, I think with this Feel the Rush, Thresh Asol, and Aphelios list, What Am I is going back to what he's known for, what he's really comfortable with. He didn't find as much success as I think he was hoping to with the aggro lineup this weekend. So maybe he just feels more comfortable on this. You know, maybe it has more potential for seasonals, or he just feels like today is not a day where he can top deck Decimate.
Well, I feel like if you are playing aggro, the top deck Decimate is just always there. Like, it's not like you can just like sit out a day and say, okay, I don't feel like it's gonna happen today. You gotta commit to the aggro lifestyle, you know. That's why we have like a lot of the aggro players. They are committed. Okay, Mo committed. Simon, Simon used to be committed and not as much nowadays. So maybe the aggro lifestyle is waning in Runeterra.
And this into the Blighted Ravine, saying it's fine. I don't need that card on board. He wants the value in hand from it. Since I think reasonably he recognizes that against Shadow Isles Freljord, he's not winning the game in a hurry because they have such strong tools to stall.
Also, looking at the hand, we just have a lot of units that kind of replace themselves already in hand. So it's not like if we play the Mayor there, we're not going to be able to develop a full board again, right? And I feel like playing the Mayor there was a really good decision just because you want to use your mana. You want to get, as you said, the value out of the Mayor. but at the same time, you don't really lose anything because the mayor replaces himself. You potentially get a better card for the matchup, and you don't waste the mana, you don't waste your turn.
And here we see the Garen come down to an empty board, his buff not mattering, but getting this strike does begin to threaten a level up. As we can see from What Am I, he doesn't have any of the vengeances, which are what he'd be looking for to deal with this 5 health regen unit, as Avalanche and Blighted Ravine don't do enough.
Yeah, if push comes to shove, what you really gotta use is the 3 Sisters here to get at least rid of the Garen for 2 turns, but as you mentioned, would obviously like some hard removal here to get rid of it. And I think it's really well played here from Easy to Win. Just to realize, okay, this Garen leveling is a way bigger threat than the +1/+1 stats he can give for 1 turn. And it seems now that What Am I does not have the Vengeance in hand, the read from Easy to W can just be that, okay, probably need to top deck something like it. I need to pressure next turn, because we are approaching the turn where What Am I can actually pop off, develop 2 blockers in 1 turn, can for example go for the pillar into Tryndamere. Also, we're getting closer to something like the Feel the Rush. I don't know for sure, but What Am I is playing this list. But for sure, something like an It That Stairs would also be really scary, so I feel like Easy to Win does feel the pressure a bit.
Yeah, we are now getting to, those scary turns. It could possibly be Buried in Ice if Easy to Win were to develop, so I think he's debating on whether to develop. Because even with a Buried in Ice, he has quite a lot of gas in his hand that he could refill the board with if What Am I taps low.
He also has to play around Avalanche though, and this is really tough right now.
Yes.
Not only that, also obviously your opponent can just play a pillar, get a free blocker. That would also mean you Garen basically gets a free attack, a free level up. But then again, Buried in Ice could make that a lot harder. Do we go for the freeze here? No, we go for the Garen kill. I really love this because, again, the freeze would get countered by the sharp side that we see in Easy to W's hand. And this actually just kills the Garen. Gets rid of the nasty level up here. Gets rid of the rally. This makes it so much harder for Easy to win, to actually win the game. It seems not quite as easy as he would have hoped for.
Yeah. And now, with What Am I at a comfortable 14 health, about to level his Trundle.
Yeah, this deck could be better against Shurima, but I feel like we're missing something, and that something is Yordlesnams. And the Sway package without like the value engine of an Aphelios, or without like the inevitability of a Yordles and Arms, I wouldn't say it feels weak, but it's certainly no longer able to do these like massive swings. And I don't think Death by 1,000 Cuts works against Feel the Rush.
No. I think HDR Easy to Win is running 2 copies of the Vanguard Sergeant for 4 Demacia, which is a lot like Yordle and Arms, except 6 mana.
It's like it's almost exactly like Yordles and Arms for 6 mana now. If you do happen to actually flip your Yordles and Arms.
And What Am I just playing?
Yeah, in a matchup like this is just enough. You don't need any more. Like, you're already pushing ridiculous damage here. And basically putting Easy to Win on a 2-turn clock here.
Yeah.
If we don't win next turn, we're gonna die.
Yeah, that is a lot of overwhelm damage. Although, this attack will show Easy to Win that there are no more 8+ cost cards in What Am I's hand, as Trundle only got +2 power, 1 from the Pillar and 1 from the Tryndamere. So that can make Easy to Win's decision making in the following turns a little easier, as he doesn't have to worry about Buried in Ice or She Who Wanders or a Field Rush.
We do see that at least Easy to Win does still care and does still fear the atrocity, because actually reordered the block, had a Blast Cone Seedling with Barrier on board, but decided not to block with it, because that would put him to 9 HP instead of 10. And that would mean that next turn, obviously, Atrocity could end the game, the tournament, and we don't really have any counterplay, but yeah, realizes, okay, we have almost full board of blockers on the other side. I'm not going to get through any of this, and I'm going to die in the next 2 turns. So, first game goes to What Am I, and really well played, but also kind of a matchup diff almost.
Yeah, it felt like Easy to Win's deck had tools that would be good for the matchup, for Demacia and rallies, but he didn't find them, and he just kind of ran out of steam with a handful of little units that weren't threatening enough to the late game board of Field Rush.
Yeah, and Field Rush, actually, with those avalanches, had a really, really good start. A really, really good start. But now we are in a completely different matchup. This is a What Am I Classic. We have the Thresh Asol here. And is it Thresh Asol Zoe? No, it's just Thresh Asol.
Just Thresh Asol, the deck that What Am I has believed in longer than anyone else.
Yeah, and he made it work quite a bunch of times. Personally, I don't see a deck that often. I see it like once every 2 weeks, but that is in EU. I would imagine that on a NA Master that you do see this a bit more often, especially with What Am I going around.
It's just as rare in NA. This is really a What Am I special. It's
not an easy deck to play, right? This is one of those decks where, like, weirdly enough, most of the time, you don't play a full set of champions, which is really interesting. But because you have Thresh, you just get to your Asol anyways, and just playing 3 Asols can be a bit awkward, because you don't want Asol to fill your hand with like 10 mana units that you can't play. You would rather play 3 Thresh and 2 Asol, and then flip a Thresh, get an Asol out of your deck. If you get a free Asol from Thresh, you win the game anyways, most likely. And Asol clogging up your hand is actually really tough.
And I would like to highlight this play from What Am I, using the Spacey Sketcher to find Moon Silver, to be able to play this Thresh a turn early, which allows him to see a lot more units dying. Imagine if this Thresh had been played on the 5th turn instead of the 4th. It would be missing all of these level triggers.
Ooh, this is super scary here for Easy to Win. This game could be over next turn. We are already seeing 4 units die this turn. Next turn, we have the Meteor Shower available, which means we can kill 2 more units. We can basically flip Thresh. And on our attack, we could summon Asol. Now, there might be consideration to play is a bit more slow, but you are removing 2 units at the same time, so I think that play is definitely what Amaya is going to go for here. Oh, this is so good.
Yeah, he sees it, and he wants to just pretend that he's playing Targon's Peak and have turn 5 Aurelion Soul.
Yep, he sees it and seizes it. And this is just game over. How wide can we go? Can we go like super wide and maybe have like a lethal swing next turn? Because What Am I is on 8 HP. Does have the Withering Wear though. I don't think so. Thresh can pull another unit here. We have basically no protection hand for our units. After this, we're going to be able to develop 2 more units on the board. Which is just not enough. Alright, next turn, Garen can hit the board.
That does make things a little more threatening, but What Am I with blockers to develop and that Withering Wail?
Ooh, this could be. Oh, this could be a rainbow fish. It looks really enticing, right? Because it's also almost free. But I'm really sure that whatever gets targeted by the rainbow fish just catches a vengeance here. But I don't know if Mushroom Ring is the better option. It's cheaper. You can play it alongside of Garen. And it is kind of huge. It is actually kind of big. Ooh, but this has to go for the rainbow fish. I mean, you can't play Garen this turn. You're just all in on this elusive win condition, which is just going to get shut down here by the Vengeance. Now, dear viewers, most of you will know this because this is the MasteringRuneterra channel, and you know everything about competitive Runeterra. But don't make the mistake and hush this unit. It unfortunately keeps everything here. Keeps the elusive, keeps the stats. Do Vengeance it, though. And obviously, a seasoned player like what am I, one of the best players from the Americas Shard, knows to not hush this unit, goes in with the Vengeance, stays alive this turn, and has lethal on the open attack. That was a quick best
That
of
was
3.
a very quick series of games indeed.
You've been wonderful, as have I.
Alright, that means that we for sure have another game that we can show you. Let us take a look into the matchups that is going on. Again, this is round 1 of Swiss. We have 4 rounds of Swiss we are going to show you today. We have 4 LW playing, and I think we could hop into that game because on the weekend, when we two were casting, we already were kind of fans of what LW was bringing. He was bringing a triple rainbow fish lineup, and he's bringing it again. And I think he's currently playing the Udia Rainbow Fish, which is really interesting because I really want to see what Udia Rainbow Fish is all about. It seems to actually just go in right at the start of the game.
Yeah.
And it's going to be Lee Sin of Philios.
Yeah, Lee Sin of Philios also a deck that we didn't get to see last match as it was banned.
So, Lee Sin of Philios is one of those decks that were really, really strong back in the day when Philios was basically like he is now. Only that you also had the option to tutor. I think we didn't even play Eye of the Dragon. I think we played Sparklefly back then. So
we
Philios
did play Sparklefly back then.
Yeah, so Philios could tutor Sparklefly, which was also really broken, obviously. Now, can't do that anymore. Still, it appears that Lee Sin now chooses to go with the Philios over Zoe. Obviously, Lee Sin also one of those cards that got affected by the play cast effect. And I don't know if I would say the effect that it had on Lee Sin positive. I think it's a bit easier.
We haven't really seen much Zoe Lee Sin since the Crescendum change.
Yes. That was obviously a huge nerf to the deck. And a lot of people said that Eye of the Dragon is a real champion in that deck. And it was the real carry of the deck. And, you know, the absence of Lee Sin is noted. And it might be that the people that were saying that Eye of the Dragon was a real champion were correct.
It certainly seems that way.
But again, there was also another change to Lee Sin, or to the Sin deck with the play cast change. Now, it's a bit easier actually, I think, for your opponent to play around the barrier that Lee Sin gets. Because Lee Sin now immediately gets the barrier. Lee Sin was one of those units that before the play cast change, got the barrier after the spell's resolved, and now gets them immediately, which makes it a bit easier for your opponent to play around them.
Yeah. And this double Inner Beast to save the Blast Cone Seedling from Calibrum.
Whew. Can't save it from a Sonic Wave though. We invested a lot into this. It's gonna die, but at least the Rainbow Fish goes back into hand. It's gonna cost 2 mana again next turn. I do imagine we're gonna see Udyr instead though, because this is a real power turn coming up here from 4LW. Again, Udyr is gonna reduce the cost of one of these on play. Then it's gonna attack and reduce the cost of the other. Oh wait, we don't go for that?
He might be starting with the 0 mana Grandfather to try to get Ardent Guardian to spend mana before playing the Udyr.
No, it appears we go full Fae. Alright, I respect it. Says he wants to push the pace a bit more.
Yeah. It seems 4LW might be valuing having that spell shield to take a moon weapon.
Damn, that's a crescendo. Unfortunately, that is not going to pull an eye. That doesn't work like it used to. It is going to activate the eye for next turn, though. So we're going to get a Drangling next turn, which we can use to proactively heal up a bit. Must Mother. What is this? Mother of Masts?
Masked Mother.
Keeper of
Masks.
No, Masked Mother is a 2/2. I knew that, but I was like, is this maybe like just a card that is named very similarly? But no, it's a Keeper of Masks. Also a card that we never see play. I think this was supposed to be played alongside of Zed. This was a beta card. Never saw really any play outside of like some fringe elusive decks.
Yeah, and these Sonic Wave resonating strikes doing a lot for Ardent Guardian to threaten these rainbow fished units.
That is one beefy Drangling. And it's gonna take down. This is actually gonna take down the Lantern here. And we can freeze it. Do we want to invest that? And the PS4W decides against it. Ooh, gets rewarded almost, because the Assistant Librarian with the Rainbow Fish is also a really nice combo, obviously because the Assistant Librarian does have Fated. Fated is a keyword that, especially in this deck, is really, really nice, because you can actually target it with these stance swaps, but...
With the stance swaps, the attaches...
This might not be a Rainbow Fish turn. This might finally be the Udyr turn I'm looking for.
Now we must walk it.
Well, we've also been ignoring that, by the way. On the other side, there was an Aphelios that was basically allowed to stay on the board. Now he's flipped. Now he has 1 mana moon weapons. Deadly Sin is sure to be leveled. Deadly Sin is sure to get the overwhelm and needs to, so... It does make a little bit more sense that we actually kept the freeze in this matchup. Because if you don't, the Lee Sin OTK is just waiting. You can't actually interact with it. The problem right now is for 4LW. It's a really nice deck to play against Shurima and against other decks with like not that many interactions. But against an Aphelios deck, you do want to kind of have a way to kill the Aphelios. And we just don't have that in 4LW's deck.
And 4LW's emote game, always on point. The Darius facepalm when he realizes his librarian's getting gravitomed. And I think at this point, the Aphelios was able to, even though the Rainbow Fish kept returning to hand, 4LW not losing value, he was losing enough tempo that his game never really got off the ground.
Yeah. That's why I thought we would play Udyr a bit sooner than this. Just because Udyr was kind of a tempo play, in that he would have reduced 2 stances to 0 the turn we played him if he wasn't stunned, right? Which means that we get to play 11 mana that turn.
Yeah. And as we can see from cards like Gleaming Lantern or Old Veil Temple, effects that let you get extra mana are always able to do very strong things.
Yeah, now it can be debated if a stance swap is actually worth 3 mana. It is probably not. But still, I think we would have at least played around 9 mana worth of value there on that turn. It looks like Lee Sin will not get the OTK this turn, because we do have the freeze in hand.
Is it the freeze?
It is the freeze.
It's the entomb.
Oh, it's the entomb. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. The problem is that will mean that Lee Sin will keep the overwhelm when he goes out of the entomb. I think it's reasonable to think that Ardent Guardian would be cycling back to the overwhelm anyways. But that does mean that Ardent Guardian doesn't have to now.
Oh. Are you seeing what I'm seeing in 4LW's hand?
Yeah. Okay, that's gonna be a massive open attack.
And
Is this game over? Wait, what are we top deck? Yep, that might be game. Wait. Oh no. Yo, we just take this. Okay, so what if we would have pre-committed it? We would have played into Hush, we would have played into his son, we would have played into... Oh, we would have played into so much.
yeah.
Will of Ionia. I don't even know if they play that, but still, we would have played into a lot of answers there. Does make sense that it just wants to get the damage through. But still, this is not going to give us lethal, and we don't have a way to stop that Lee Sin next turn. At the same time, Ardent Guardian. I always want to say Ancient Guardian, but no, Ardent Guardian. Going very wide here as well. So it's going to threaten a lethal for sure again next turn. There we go. Already has Barrier. Already has Overwhelm. Already has Challenger. We can actually open attack here. Oh, we find another freeze. Wait a minute.
Yeah, and this freeze very, very... probably the best top deck 4LW could have asked for.
We see Ardent Guardian actually playing around that freeze by committing a few more cards before they go in for the attack. I really like this because, again, you could have said, yeah, you had the open attack lethal anyways. But, again, you don't want to lose to that freeze. Oh, what are we buffing?
Looks like the elusive. Since buffing it is technically blocking 1 more damage because of the faded keyword than buffing Udyr.
Ooh. See, Deny here. Deny is not the best card in this matchup. Really only here to deny the stances. And that is not really worth it because a lot of them, you know, go out for 0 mana thanks to Udyr. And we just have to use 4 mana to deny that one. Again, 4W can survive here. Does have the freezes. Does also have the Troll Chant. So Aphelios is going to die as well. This looks really, really good next turn because we don't have an answer for the multitude of threats that is going to come from 4W here.
Yeah, with this freeze and Troll Chant.
Yeah, look at this. We also have enough mana to just replay the Udyr. Oh, actually, we can Inner Beast, get the stance, play the Udyr, reduce the stance, give Udyr Overwhelm. Udyr flips as well. Oh, I like what we... Yeah, 4W sees it.
Yeah,
I like
he
it.
sees it. Very, very good. Since he wants to open attack with that Battle Fury, recognizing that he's free to spend every last bit of mana he has this turn.
That's also going to be a really big Udyr. Udyr flips very fast. Obviously, at this point, only 3 stances have been played. But still, that is still a big Udyr.
Yeah. And even though we're committing this, Ardent does have the second deny in hand.
currently, 4W probably despairing a bit and thinking to himself, hey, why does he have it? But we still have the open attack here, and we top deck the Hush on the other side. Oh, this is the perfect answer. Now, this won't take away the elusive and the stats from the faded, from the attached unit. But what this is going to take away is the faded buffs and the big Battle Fury. I'm just going to swing it for 4. This is a top deck war from both sides. Top decking the Freeze last turn for 4LW. Now top decking the Hush for Ardent Guardian. And we're back in business.
Yeah. The ordering of the decks really going the distance and giving the viewers an exciting experience.
Oh, there's another Lee Sin as well. Oh, that is perfect. This allows us to push even more damage. This allows us to push lethal.
Yeah, with no tricks or additional blockers from 4LW.
Man, and how important was that deny? How good does Ardent Guardian feel about actually paying 4 mana to deny a 0 mana card now?
Probably fantastic. If that Udyr had obtained Overwhelm, the Hush would have been forked between the two attackers. And 4LW wouldn't have had to have commit the Battle Fury until after Ardent responded. So that deny, not necessarily the best card in that matchup, but in this instance, denying the one thing you really want to deny in the matchup is what won Ardent Guardian the game.
Yeah, it's overpriced, but it was worth it. It was worth the price. Worth to pay for good quality deny there. And in the end, very, very well played, but also 4W now with the full Rainbow Fish lineup is coming short again. I fear this might not be the thing for seasonals. I fear Rainbow Fish might be good, but committing fully on it might not be the move.
Committing fully. We've seen that the Aphelios Rainbow Fish deck is quite strong because it can attack the game from multiple angles. It has Fizz, it has Aphelios. These champions, do strong things. It's the other Rainbow Fish decks, the Garen, the Udyr, that seem to be falling short in finding ways to keep tempo or end the game as explosively as the Fizz-Aphelios lists have.
Yeah, the Garen deck also struggled a lot. We saw that, right? Where, yes, you have like the Demacia buffs, so you have the Pseudo and the very, very old version of Yoros and Arms in the for Demacia, but really, only playing a 2-off there is not helping you either, right? So you kind of relying on the Rainbow Fish again, and you don't really have an alternative win condition. You don't really have any additional value from the Aphelios. Talking about the Aphelios, we are going to see a match now where 4W is going to play the Aphelios. I don't even know. Wait, that is not for this tournament. You just queue another match. For like a different tournament, maybe? Probably. Okay.
Maybe.
I'm exiting the spectator.
4LW just loves playing Rainbow Fish so much he plays it in between rounds of tournaments.
4W is just casually two-timing it, It's a classic. And a lot of players do two-timing tournaments, and why not bring the same lineup to both tournaments so you don't get confused in between rounds?
Yeah, especially if it's a lineup you believe in. Why wouldn't you be playing the lineup you think that's going to win?
Yeah, and 4W is really believing in the Fish lineup. He is all about Fish. So he brought it on the weekend. He brought it today to this tournament, and it appears he also brought it to another tournament or whatever he's playing right now. So I get it. If you like Fish, you like Fish, okay? There are some people who hate Fish, can't really stand it. There are some people who absolutely love Fish. And 4W seems to be someone who grew up, near the sea. All right, but with that said, I think we're going to hop to a short break. We're going to rate for round 2 to come up. Again, we're showing you 4 rounds of Swiss today. So stay tuned, and we are going to be right back. All right, we are back. Round 2 has not quite started yet, but we want to give a small lineup shout out to someone who unfortunately already dropped out of the tournament. Just some bad juju. Decided that while others were feeling the fish, they were feeling the rush. And they brought a triple Feel the Rush lineup, and I think we're going to take a look at that because this is a very basic list. Okay, we all know this. This is actually not the list that is most popular list on Ladder right now because it doesn't play It That Stares and it doesn't play
She Who
She
Wonders.
Wonders. So it does play double Ruination. This is something we don't see currently on Ladder. It does play one of Piercing Darkness. I think this is a list that What Am I also played a while ago. This does
This
seem
is
like
the
What Am I
more
list.
traditional big SI control Feel the Rush.
Yeah, we also don't see faces of the old ones. We just see kind of list of Eons here. So basically we have not that much ramp, and we have way more control tools instead. But this is a very cool list. But it's not what we wanted to show you. This is, again, another Feel the Rush list. Also, we know this. This is Zoya Radiant Soul, Targon's Peak, one of Solaris Sunhawk is really nice. And also the 2 Celestial Wonders are now new. The Sunburst here and the Diversion Paths are also here.
And I'd really like to point out the one of Infinite Mind Splitter. This used to be an old tech card that you could use to improve the Demacia Targon Dragons against Lee Sin decks because the Infinite Mind Splitter's effect doesn't target, so it can't be denied or bastioned or anything like that. Similarly, the Infinite Mind Splitter can take something that's gotten a Rainbow Fish or a Papercraft Dragon and say, hey, you're stuck there. I'm not removing the unit, so you're not getting the Rainbow Fish or Papercraft Dragon back. That Fizz is just no longer allowed to attack.
Yeah, really cool card, really cool tech card. But also, this deck is cool, not that spicy though. Now, we get to the third Feel the Rush deck, and things change. All of a sudden, we have Zed Sejuani, the Feel the Mina deck, and this is a really interesting deck because this has gone through some changes. We have a one of Windsinger in here, which is basically a mini Mina. For 6 mana, you only get to, recall 1 unit of your opponent, but it still is a mini Mina, and especially against other Feel the Rush decks, this can still be really annoying.
And the champion choice, since you're already using Tryndamere and Trundle in your other decks, Sejuani is a nice champion that says Overwhelm, and Zed, who doesn't say Overwhelm, but does make a second 10/10 attacker if you cast Feel the Rush and pull him out. And I like this creativity in finding a way to fit a third Feel the Rush deck into a lineup from Juju.
Is there anything we could have played outside of Zed? I think Zed might actually be the best choice here. Yeah? I like it a lot. Now, what is missing here? Avalanche. We do have triple Bright Win. We only have double Ice Shard, so we are missing some removal. And this deck is very good, I think, against other Feel the Rush type decks because we do have the Deny, we have Will of Ionia, again, we have the Mina Swiftfoot. But missing the control tools in the early game can be a bit tough.
Yeah, I think this deck is definitely not as good into the more aggro focused decks, or possibly decks like Scouts, but with 3 Concussive Palm, 3 Will of Ionia, the 1 Windsinger, 2 Mina, decks like Pantheon, other Feel the Rush decks, it's looking rough for them.
That is true. And again, other Feel the Rush decks didn't have that bad of a matchup, actually, back in the days. I feel like Shadow Isles Feel the Rush obviously did not have the greatest matchup into this, but cards like Lidros actually made the matchup not that terrible. Nowadays, Lidros is a one-off most of the time, and sometimes we don't even find Lidros in the Feel the Rush decks anymore.
Yeah, a lot of the modern Feel the Rush lists, running It That Stares, Buried in Ice, She Who Wanders instead of Ledros and Atrocity, there's just a lot less options for traditional Fielder Rush to try to find a win against the level of Ionian interaction that this deck brings to the table.
Yes, heck yeah, I love interaction. I love Runeterra. Let's go. Get more of that in. Although I do hate Ionia somehow. Now, Deny is obviously a card that was nerfed with the cast play change, but still, again, against other field rush decks, against other big decks, really good. Also, kind of necessary if you are playing against Pantheon and such to get rid of rallies and stall up the game a bit longer. As you mentioned, this does have an advantage versus Pantheon just because you have Will of Ionia, you have Mina, you have Windsinger to stall out the inevitable. You also have something like Three Sisters to freeze, and Sejuani is also pretty nice to have. I think the freeze plus the vulnerable is really annoying for Pantheon decks.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm very impressed with this list. I think it's a very clever idea.
Yeah, but as we mentioned, unfortunately, we're not going to see this today because there's some bad juju dropped and is leaving us with just some bad vibes here, unfortunately. Because I was really, really hoping to see this. When I clicked on the list, when you told me, "Hey, just some bad juju brought some fire," I'm like, "Yo, triple fear the Russian lineup, let's go!" And then we asked Greg, and Greg was like, "Yeah, sorry, they dropped."
It really
Always the
is
good
too
ones.
bad, but I wish him luck in the Mystic Shot tournament.
I told you, people are like double and triple teaming this tournament. I think 4W might have also seen, okay, I'm like 0-1. I think I'm gonna like just go for another tournament.
Go next.
Go next. Yeah, this is a 4-round Swiss tournament, right? So your chances after going 0-1 drop astronomically. If you're 0-2, you're already out of the tournament. So if you're 0-1 and you say to yourself, "Hey, this is not my day. Also, this tournament's meta does not really fit my triple rainbow fish lineup," might be good to know to just go into another tournament and see if your fishes can do some stuff there. But apparently, the triple fielder rushes also couldn't do it. Really sad to see, but I hope we see some spicy lineups today. There's always a mix between spicy and really competitive lineups in these tournaments because after all, this is also a way to get ready for the seasonal, right? This is the one of the road to the seasonal tournaments, and I feel like a lot of good players play these just to actually prepare and get some ideas on what to bring for the Swiss rounds. Now, the Swiss rounds are a bit more chaotic than these tournaments because these tournaments have a very limited pool of players, right? It's the MasteringRuneterra Patreons, and most of them are either competitive players or have ambitions to play competitively. And in the seasonal, you also have some players who, you know, just got in, want to have some fun. Maybe it's their first tournament they're playing in Runeterra. So you got to be prepared to face some really out there lineups.
Yeah, seasonals open rounds, there's 9 of them. It's pretty likely you're going to see some wild things.
Yeah,
Just
especially
because people get in from Gauntlet, people get in from just, playing ladder. It's These tournaments are almost better practice for a top cut situation than open rounds because the meta is more focused and there is a much higher concentration of players who either already are competitive or are looking to become competitive.
yeah, exactly. But I feel like we do have a chance to see some really interesting lineups here, alongside of some seasonal lineups, and I feel like we're gonna see some really cool lineups next round because we have the next rounds already up, and it seems the Fall W actually is double timing it in a way where Fall W is probably not dropping the tournament. We have the next round up. Do you see any matchups there that you would want to spectate? What if I was Cameron Henzo is something that I look forward to. But we already showed what am I.
Yeah. We have a couple of interesting decks from Squally, who's playing against Jason Florent himself, who
Ooh, okay,
we
that
all
sounds
know
interesting.
is maybe the most competitive person.
Mr.
So if
Mastering Runeterra himself.
Mr. Mastering Runeterra. So if you're looking for real seasonals, open rounds prep, he might be the guy to be watching.
Yeah, I think we already skimmed through his lineup in the break, and what we saw there is that Jason just brought a really, really solid lineup. I think one of the lineups that we could see at the seasonal. And again, we've seen these decks already today. So we have Scouts coming in here, and this is a very, very basic Scouts list. We do have the triple Genevieve and the double Cypher, so it's a bit more top heavy because it's one more Cypher than we are used to seeing. But then we also have the Fizz Aphelios again. The double rainbow fish, this time only one papercraft dragon.
Yep.
Also,
And we have the one of Bandle Commando we've seen in some lists that I'm not sure if I like it or not. I think I like it. I think I like it because it generates more Owlcats, and Owlcats are one of the best units we have for holding rainbow fish. But
Owlcats are really annoying.
a turn 2 Bandle Commando means that your turn 3 Gleaming Lantern play is a little bit less safe because you're not holding up any protection. It makes your tempo a little awkward. It's only a one of, so it's not making your tempo awkward all that often. I'm unsure about it.
I'm unsure about this whole rainbow fish meta. I don't know if I like this whole rainbow fish meta. It feels very awkward. I feel like this deck came up just because Mono Shurima was really popular and then fell off cliff, basically, really fast. But now, after the new patch, Aphelios Fizz just seems one of the most popular tournament decks right now.
Yeah. And the thing about Aphelios and the Fey package is you have a lot of possible answers to a lot of possible situations. You could Fey Sprout a 5/3 tasty Fey Folk against aggro. You could get an assistant librarian and sever him against aggro. Or if you're against not aggro, you could put Papercraft Dragon on Fizz, or you can put Rainbow Fish on your third Hungry Owlcat, and Control is losing its mind trying to deal with your board.
I like how you put it. There's aggro and there's not aggro. But yeah, you're right.
There's two kinds of decks, really.
It's two kinds of people in the world. But yeah, I mean, the good thing alongside of that is that you also just get Aphelios weapons all the time because all of the cards you're playing, they're so cheap. Like a top end is a 5 mana Papercraft Dragon that if you have a Gleaming Lantern on board is only gonna cost 3 mana.
Yeah. The curve being super low to the ground allows you to play a strong tempo game, especially if you hit the Gleaming Lantern into anything where you're playing cards for free.
That said, I think the deck can struggle a bit against more top-heavy decks if you don't find your champions. Fizz and Aphelios are very, very strong in the deck. And I feel like this is one of the decks that if you don't find Aphelios, you can struggle. Now, again, you do have the Fey package, and you have the Rainbow Fish, you have the Papercraft Dragon, but Papercraft Dragon by itself is really bad, and you do really need something like the Fizz to make real use. You do have the Bandle Commando here as a one-off, which does make Papercraft Dragon a little bit better, but there is a reason why Papercraft Dragon usually is a 1 or 2-off only. And I like it a bit more as a 1-off than as a 2-off here, because it can be really expensive.
2 is a little bit ambitious.
Yeah, definitely. But let's take a look at the third deck, and this is also a deck that we have been seeing for the last 2 weeks all the time in every tournament. It is the Ziggs Taliyah deck. This is a bit more top-heavy to what we've been used to in the last couple of weeks because we do have 2 Herald of the Magos and 2 Arsenal. Now, sometimes we see 2 Herald of the Magos, 1 Arsenal, but a lot of the times we see 1 of both of these cards. So, an extra copy for the top end here.
Yeah, and we do see that we're still on 2 explosive minefields. This might just be, a bit of a refinement towards this meta where we're seeing a lot more Feel the Rush, not as much pure aggro decks like Pirates. And so because things are a little bit slower, the 2 of Herald, the 2 of Arsenal, really giving the deck strong win conditions that are resilient to control decks is, I think, a smart meta call from Jason.
Very smart meta call. Now, if Jason gets into the match, we could spectate that. But maybe I'm going to take some time. I'm going to pull up the list of his opponent. And again, you said there is a bit more spice in those lists. This is maybe, not a
Oh,
seasonal, a steady and safe seasonal lineup. This is a lineup that is a bit more out there.
It might be a seasonal lineup. It's
Oh,
it,
okay. I see it.
yeah.
It is the Ionia lineup, but we are splashing Ionia lineup. So we have Kindred, Viego. This is a deck that has been around for ages. Nowadays, the Viego Mono Shurima list, the Mono Viego Shurima list, is a bit more popular. So while this is still very, very good, I think this is also a bit harder to play and a bit more inconsistent because you don't necessarily have a way to for sure draw the Viego here. So the Hydro Vine becomes another carry that's very important. You do have the access to Kindred to deny. You have some really good tools in there. But it is a bit scary because we actually have less protection in this list than we have in the Shurima list. We're only playing one Syncopation because Syncopation outside of Viego is not a good card. And we have double deny. Now we play double Rite of Negation and sometimes up to triple Hourglass in the Shurima version. So we have way more protection and we have a way to tutor Viego in the Shurima list, which is why I usually like the Shurima list a bit more. Now, if you high roll with this list, you get the Green Great Lookout onto, you get to hit 1 or 2 times, and you get to play a Hydrovine really early on. Obviously, this list will outperform the Shurima list, but I just feel like the Shurima list is a bit more consistent.
I would agree. I think the Shurima list with the Rite of Callings and Triple Hourglass, it's a lot more consistent at getting that Viego and sticking that Viego. Whereas I think the Kindred Viego Ionia list, it's because it has these Ionian cards, the Denies, the Will of Ionias, the Greenglade Lookouts. It's okay saying, I don't have to win with Viego. I might win with Kindred and a Hydrovine, or 2 Hydrovines, or just a Kindred that gets huge out of control and an atrocity. Um, a little bit less all in on Viego, and I think losing the consistency of Viego compared to the Shurima list is something that the deck is willing to do in order to have those alternate options.
That makes a lot of sense. Now, makes sense of another Aphelios Lee Sin list, though, this time with triple Zenith Blade as well. What is happening here? Whoa, this is... I think Aphelios Lee Sin like it's supposed to be, because I see a secondary carry in here. I see the Wounded White Flame.
Yeah, wounded, the fated keyword, it does like to be targeted, and we have quite a lot of enticing ways to target. The gems from Mountain Goat, the Sonic Wave to help remove units on the opponent's board, and the Aphelios weapons. Keeping it healthy, keeping your Nexus healthy, and letting you stay in the game until you can get to that Lee Sin win condition later on.
Do you also see why Wounded White Flame just finishing the game? Sometimes we struggle with Lee Sin a bit nowadays, but Wounded White Flame just as an additional pressure point, I really like the Wounded White Flame here. Wounded White Flame was already the thing back when Eye of the Dragon was still coming out of the crescendum. But now I think Wounded White Flame can shine a bit more because we actually need a bit more board presence now that we are not guaranteed to get the Eye of the Dragons. Now the third deck is going to be Viktor Karma, and this, I know from Catharsis, from EU obviously, brought the Karma back in this deck. This was a Viktor Lee Sin, Viktor Vi list. Now with the Karma, I like the one of Vi in this list just to have some orthogonality or whatever in here, But this list is also, again, very consistent in what it wants to do. If it drops Viktor, it can win the early game really easy. And if it doesn't find the Viktor and finds the Karma, we can have some big OTKs in the late game.
Yeah. And here we are going into game 1.
Okay, so one thing Unfortunately, we had very little time to look at that Viktor Karma list. It is not playing a single copy of a Big Man Reggie, and I disagree with that. That
You
seems
disagree.
yeah, very suspect. Not playing a single copy of Pharaoh's Financier is very, very suspect. At least as a one-off. You should play it at least as a one-off. Now, it is not as important in this list as it was in the Lee Sin on the buy list, but I think it's just such a strong card.
It certainly can generate a lot of cards that your opponent might not be expecting to have to play around.
Yeah, also, it can straight up just generate another win condition, can straight up just generate you some outs that you wouldn't otherwise have. I feel like
Nice
it's a very good card.
Dawn and Dusk on Karma.
Exactly. I mean, Dawn and Dusk on Vi, for example, is something that saves me so often. Okay, again, I play this list with a one-off Vi, just to have some, like, other ways to finish the game. And usually, if I find a Vi and I find a Dawn and Dusk out of a Pharaoh's Financier, I can close out the game pretty comfortably just with the leveled Vi. And again, you also have insane ways to control the board with that. If you just have Viktor, you also have the Glorious Evolution. I had a game where I had leveled Viktor on board, I had leveled Karma, I was playing against Moshirima, who flipped their Sundisk, and guess what? Pharaoh's Financier got me a Glorious Evolution. I played Glorious Evolution twice because of Karma. She doubled that spell. Everything I had basically cost 0 at that point because I also had a Viktor on board. And I won versus Moshirima when they had the Sundisk flip because it's just way stronger if you have a Karma on board and a Viktor on board and your cards cost 0.
Yeah. And here we see Squallywag getting that Zenith Blade on the White Flame. Attacking.
Yeah,
Wide board from Jason
it's turn 4.
isn't a bad board.
This is not a bad board. This is turn 4. This looks like a Pirate aggro board. Oh, better. We actually have better stats than Pirate aggro on board right now. Alright, we find another Grandfather Way, which means we can just sacrifice this. Oh, that is gonna be a giant owl cat.
I fight with my spirit, not my fists.
Yeah. This Eye of the Dragon, unfortunately, not active yet. And I believe we're gonna get Squallywag's POV coming up now.
Think there's anything in that hand that can win here? This is looking really rough. Like, we're gonna have a massive swing here.
Yeah, a very threatening swing.
Ooh, that's a whiff though.
Yeah, not...
Yeah,
the
not
hush you were probably hoping to find from that trinket trade.
This whole thing is just a knot. This is a giant whiff. I like the full swing here. You need to get some board space going anyways because you want to play the Aphelios. You want to trade an Eye of the Dragon. You want to push as much damage as possible. Pushing 10 already. Putting Squallywag down to 8 HP. Oh, are we taking 15?
That is a lot of damage to be taking.
There's way too much damage to be taking.
But we do see the Aphelios in hand. He might be considering if he can preserve that Eye of the Dragon, he can get Severum and use this White Flame to keep his Nexus, well, very healthy.
Right, but on the other side, we just find a Rainbow Fish. And we put that on one of the spell shielded owl cats, preferably on the 4-1. We just have lethal. Because right now, it's really awkward. We probably just have to throw away a spell here. Just to activate the Eye of the Dragons. Because otherwise we just die. I mean, we don't have to throw away, I guess. Playing the Zenith Blade is not really throwing away. But It appears we just play Aphelios. Did we play 2 spells this turn? We didn't, right? We didn't.
We didn't.
So we don't trigger the Eye of the Dragon, so we don't get some proactive healing from Scorliwag this turn. And there's a Fizz. I think you're okay with this.
Choosing to just remove the Aphelios.
Yeah, interestingly, you can't really go for one of these spell shield units right now because Aphelios is just so more annoying. Aphelios can potentially cycle into an Infernum, which could pressure you even harder.
Yeah. And Squallywag probably recognizing that with the Aphelios play from Jason, he should probably respect the possibility of a Gravitum in response to any plays for Severum.
And the Gravitum can obviously cycle into the Infernum. So this could have been potential Fizz lethal here. Now we do have double Guiding Touch, which is really good. But if we would have top decked a Rainbow Fish here, Rainbow Fish coupled with the Infernum here would have been lethal for sure. So heads up play to actually remove the Aphelios and get rid of the Infernum possibility here. Okay. Do we top deck Rainbow Fish? No, it's another Aphelios though. Oh, goes for the open attack. Okay, okay. Sees the Gravitum in the hand of Squallywag, so I get going for the open attack here. This is gonna get punished here by the Hush. And Squallywag is still in the game, and that has to be really scary for Jason. Because now we are getting to turns where Squallywag might be able to turn this around. This Aphelios is again unthreatened. One thing this deck is absolutely lacking is interactions with champions.
Yeah, I mean, unless they're very small champions and the pokey sticks are enough, but against an opposed Aphelios, pokey stick is usually not going to get the job done.
What's a small champion?
Teemo, Zoe, Kennen.
I want to hide. 5'4"?
Yeah, 5'4" or lower.
So Lux would be a small champion.
And the Herald of Spring from Crescendum.
That's very good. You know, it's not quite an Eye of the Dragon, but actually at this point, it's even better. We already have like a giant dragon on our side that we can now buff up, give lifesteal to. Unfortunately, that is going to still be stunned because of the Gravitum, and Jason's going to make sure that it's going to keep getting stunned every turn possible. So we're probably going to see the Gravitum next turn again, and the Dragon is unfortunately just going to stay there stunned. Outside, you can put it on the Mon Goat. Why not? We can heal for a ton this turn. But between the Dragonling, the Herald, and the Severum, I think we're getting back to very, very comfortable health total here.
Yeah.
Alright, I think Jason might need to, I don't know, throw out that Gravitum at this turn already. I don't think you can allow Squallywag to just heal for a million.
No, I don't think so.
Already thinking about, do we take Gravitum? Do we take Infernum? Infernum could potentially end the game in the future, but Gravitum buys us another turn maybe? It's a tough choice. Oh, Jason correctly decides to stun the unit here. Otherwise, Squallywag could have potentially healed for 10 this turn. Almost putting him back to 20. Okay. What are Jason's outs? So we are probably gonna go into Infernum here. We could get a Rainbow Fish or Face Sprout, which would mean we could have a spell shielded 6 attack elusive that we can give 2 more attack to. It's 8, that's not quite it. Maybe if we get Papercraft Dragon off of it, we can put Papercraft Dragon on Old Cat, give it Overwhelm with the Infernum.
Yeah.
I mean, at this point, Jason is just going to scramble for any way to finish the game. Because it's already slipping out of his hands for the last couple of turns. And nothing there really excites. That is not
it
a
was
win.
possible a Papercraft and go for a Phelios flip using Infernum. But without the Papercraft Dragon, the amount of lifesteal Squallywag was able to produce looks like it's going to make it difficult to try to end the game. And I think the longer this game goes on, the harder it's going to be for Jason to try to deal with both the flip to Phelios and the wounded White Flame that Squallywag has.
I like what Jason is doing here, though. Playing the Crescendum, I don't even think it was just to get another unit. But now, Aphelios is flipped, which means that on round start, Aphelios will generate a Severum, which can then phase into Infernum. So he can actually get Severum and Infernum in the same turn. For even more buffs. Oh, wait, no, never mind. Face into to the Calibrum. Is Jason planning to play the long game here?
You know, he might be. He might say, you know, we both have Aphelios, but, you know, my deck has cards like Conchologist in it that also generate better value than the cards that Squallywag's deck have, since he's not on any Reggie. Cards Squallywag plays don't generate more cards.
Okay, Jason has 2 units stunned here, has a full board, can swing in. I don't think Jason's going to find lethal this turn, but it's going to swing in for a lot again. And actually is calling out Squallywag on not finding Lee Sin. Because, hey, as long as you don't find Lee Sin, I'm just going to be fine here. You're not going to finish me either. Oh, can you move your mouse a bit? Okay, thank you. Because you unfortunately couldn't see the cards really. And nope, there's no Lee Sin, okay.
This mama is the beast mama.
It appears that we do go by death by 1,000 cuts.
Yeah. And this one of Bandle Commando that's gonna be generating cards, perhaps, for Jason.
Oh my god, we are back in one of those metas. I'm seeing Targon on both players' decks. I'm seeing 2-level Aphelios going at each other. Not being able to kill the other Aphelios, by the way, so... You're just gonna have just 2 Aphelios generating endless value. That's not... This game is not pretty.
I think this game is a work of art.
Oh, no. No.
Though we do see, on Squallywag's side, the Sonic Wave.
We've been in this game for longer than the entire What Am I series. In round number 1. And What Am I was playing Control. I would actually argue a lot of Control decks in Runeterra actually have faster ways of ending the game than most Targon decks, or most of Bandle decks actually. Like, look at these Aphelios like value bundles. Then you look at Field Rush, which, okay, once you get to Field Rush, you do get to end the game in the next 2 turns.
Yeah. Tryndamere ends games quickly. Aphelios ends games eventually.
But that is the Aphelios style, and that is why the players love Aphelios so much. And the Severum here, clever play, because you know that the only real target that Jason right now has is the goat. Can't really target the Aphelios, the dragon is just way too big. I would like to see a proactive Pale Cascade here. I would like us to draw into a Lee Sin. Oh, okay, we're not. But we're gonna kill his Aphelios. Unfortunately for Jason, we can commit the Pale Cascade, but we already know that basically on the other side, it's not going to work out. Our Fizz is still going to die. We draw a Fizz. Which is just okay, honestly. Fizz is not really going to help us. We really need another Aphelios. It's going to be healed back. Yeah, I don't think you can play the value, or you can play the... Yeah, you can't play the value game versus Lee Sin here. I don't think it's going to work out for you. As it turns out, in a very convoluted way, with some challenging going on, you can actually interact with your opponent's Aphelios. So Scallywag can kind of kill Aphelios on Jason's side, but Jason can't kill Aphelios on the other side. So I think while you can try to play the long drawn out game, you're probably always going to lose it. And Scallywag isn't even drawing Lee Sin, because Lee Sin would just immediately end the game here.
Lee Sin would be ending the game.
Hey, upon a Pokestick. Unfortunately, is still going to take out the Aphelios here.
Multiple ways in hand from Squallywag to protect this Aphelios from Pokesticks.
And another problem is we are running out of Gravitums for the White Flame. It has been held back for a couple of turns now. But I think the White Flame is finally here to cause some trouble. Oh, we finally sin. Oh dear God, oh yes, we finally sin. Finally. You don't know how happy I'm about this. This game could have probably still gone on for like a couple of minutes. But Lee Sin is gonna end it next turn, I'm sure.
Yeah, this Lee Sin draw and an almost okay-ish attack with the elusives, but Squallywag gained so much life by casting Severum on Mountain Goats.
Casually just pulling a Herald of Spring. Alright. Oh, okay, we whiff again. I was almost like, if we maybe get a Rainbow Fish here, we have a chance. No, I don't think we even had a chance to find Rainbow Fish. I honestly think Scallywag is... Yeah, Scallywag is just going to end the game next turn.
I think maybe the best bet was find Papercraft Dragon, put it on Fizz, commit the Cloud buff on Fizz for 14 elusive damage, which is close, but not quite enough.
As a certified Lee Sin header, I'm telling you, I've never been this happy to see Lee Sin on the board. It just finally signals some inevitability in this game, okay? Alright, who catches a Gravitum? The disrespect. We failed so much, we don't even need to keep up Hush for Fizz.
Well, at 19 health, with one revealed card in hand from Jason.
Tide's coming in.
It's just a matter of doing the math as the blocker.
I said Jason generated 2 cards. Again, I feel like even at this point, if we hadn't found this in, this game could have gone on for a couple more turns.
But this Zenith Blade...
Okay, are we trying to find the mini-morph? What's the game plan here? Damn, even denying the Pokestick. Yeah, Skolowek just had just everything they needed there. That was a rough game. But I feel like this shows perfectly why I struggle to like this Aphelios Fist deck. In contrast to other Aphelios decks, you don't really have interaction with other champions. So, if your opponent also has an Aphelios, their Aphelios has way easier time surviving on the board because you can't really put anything against it Aphelios. But if other decks can remove your Aphelios, actually have some answers ready for your threats, it's going to be tough. Now, that said, Jason also low-rolled quite a bit because did not get a single Rainbow Fish the entire game. Did not get a Papercraft
No
Dragon.
Rainbow Fish, no Papercraft.
No nothing.
You hate to see it. And here, the Viego
Night flowers upon my blade.
against Aphelios.
What's that noise?
Okay, this is an interesting matchup because I haven't seen that quite too often. Now, this deck does not play Quicksand, so you don't even need to Rainbow Fish for the Quicksand interaction. But it has a lot of healing. It has a very strong champion in Kindred. And we already see that you have basically a perfect hand. You have Kindred, you have Viego already, you have on turn 4 Kindred into Butcher.
Yeah.
And this is always going to kill the Bandle Gunner. Bandle Commando. Why do I always say Bandle Gunner? Alright. Do you want to keep this Butcher and next turn go for the Kindred and the Viego? Getting stacks out of this Butcher?
It's only 1 power for Viego, plus he gets to make an encroaching mist.
Yeah, I think it's more about the encroaching mist there. That said, you do take out the Bandle Commando, which is a really annoying card in this matchup.
It is.
Alright, tough decision yet for Skolowek. Decides to attack first. I like this. Jason blocks here. You just kill the Bandle Commando for free. But yeah, Jason doesn't block. Takes a lot of damage here, though. And again, we don't have any interaction with enemy champions. So if this Viego grows big enough and you take a bit of a beating in the early game, an Atrocity can easily finish you off.
Yeah.
Oh, not even
and
that,
the
a Kindred also.
Atrocity already in the hand of Squallywag.
Its heart beats fast now.
Yeah, so Skolowek is actually pressuring Jason right now. Jason has to move forward, has to swing in,
I were a magician.
present lethal in the next couple of turns because that Viego is growing big. We have another Cameroon soldier here. Oh. We don't develop Viego. Want to keep some mana open, potentially threatening a vengeance.
Possibly.
I mean, you will be fine to take the pass here as Squallywag. Like, if Jason gives you this, you would be incredibly happy because this gives you another turn, gives you another action, gives you another attack again. Jason doesn't really want to block the Kindred, so you might get another free hit. I don't think you will because I don't think Jason can afford to lose any more health. Wallop here is fantastic. Certainly better than Shield Wall, I think.
Almost certainly. The trying to do the math, but Shield Vault is at least 1, probably 2 extra damage over a couple of attacks. But instead, deciding to go for a prank.
It triggers Philios. It's funny. And
Pranks are funny.
yeah, pranks really funny.
Maybe he'd like to just get a little bit of information about Squallywag's hand. You know, is it the vengeance that he's threatening? Is it possibly Spirit's Refuge? Does he have an atrocity?
Yeah, because otherwise this seems more of like a YouTube prank than a Jackass episode.
The whole world will know my language.
Ooh, okay. So we basically find everything we need on Squallywag's side. We have Vitamine as well. This is also going to be some massive fearsome pressure. And Jason knows that if he should block here. We do have on the other side the Life Arrow. We do have the Spirit's Refuge. That said, we can pop that with the Pokestick. Is it worth losing our big elusive with Impact though? I don't think so. Oh wait,
well,
never mind. We kind of have to do it because again,
we
atrocity
know
is a
that-
thing.
Yeah, we know the Spirit's Refuge is there. So we can't rely on this Spell Shield elusive to end the game in a hurry with how much life Squallywag is threatening to gain.
Alright, the new game plan. We sacrifice our owl. We put the rainbow fish on the faded unit. We hope our opponent doesn't have vengeance. And we win the game? Actually seems solid.
That
Also
looks like a line.
Yeah,
We do
removing
have-
Viego also slows down Squallywag considerably.
Oh. Deciding to threaten both Kindred and Viego here, knowing that the 6-cost Spirit's Refuge can only save one of them.
And again, we do have the Pokestick, so we actually kill both of them. Oh no, wait, no, we don't. No, Kindred is gonna flip. Oh no, she's not. Okay, we don't have a Malphite on the other side. This would have been a bit more scary with the Malphite.
Would have been a lot more scary.
But Jason makes the read that there's no Malphite on the other side, which is the correct read. Gets to kill both Kindred and Viego this turn. Gets to redevelop another Lantern. Or a Philios. Has a Fizz. This is looking good for Jason. The only problem Jason's going to have is that invasive Hydrovine.
That is a very strong unit. Now, with the Aphelios, you know, he'll have options, you know, to Gravitum.
Okay. So yeah, you can't Gravitum. I see the syncopation though. No, I don't even think you're gonna attack with the Hydrovine necessarily. Maybe you do. You go for a full swing after you develop the Carnivoran Soldier as well. You get go as wide as possible, try to hit through, and then try to finish the game with Atrocity. Again, if we take a look at the Shurima version of the Viego deck, imagine the Spirit's Refuge would have been not necessarily a right-off negation. We do have denied that is the equivalent. Imagine it would have been an Hourglass.
An
Hourglass would have been fantastic. That would have 100% saved our Viego there.
Don't think I know that one.
Yeah, but it would also leave us at 7 less health. As we wouldn't have had the lifesteal.
Lifesteal is good. That is a good mechanic. That is true. But look at this. We are very wide. We have some threatening ephemerals, which unfortunately Jason will have to block. That always feels very annoying. We have some cheap jump blockers here with the Octopus and the Yordle Squire, though. So not that big of a problem. Oh, but Squirrelywag full swinging. Potentially going for a sneaky syncopation play. I do think Jason's going to full block here. It's not going to fall into that trap. But I like Squirrelywag just going for it. Wait a minute. Oh, no. Oh, wait. I mean, syncopation is a one-off, so maybe you don't think about it. But,
Yeah.
I think Squirrelywag has to realize if that hits, Jason has no interaction again. No interaction to deal with this atrocity. Right, what can we find here? Oh, we could have potentially found another trinket trade into a stun. Yes. But unfortunately do not find it. That is 7 that we're taking. Okay, never mind. I guess the Ionia version does have some tricks up their sleeve. I guess the Shreeper version couldn't have done that trick. I take my flame back.
And now, with the atrocity in hand,
We have the game. Yeah. Nothing that happens here matters. As long as Squirrelywag realizes this and just commits it next turn. Isn't it? No, there's nothing, right? There's nothing in Fist of Furious that could stop this. I guess... Okay, no, never mind. We have Trinket Trade into Stress Defense. But we don't have to sacrifice our Adrenaline either. We can actually just Atrocity the 6/6.
yeah, and this elusive attack looking a little bit lethal, but unfortunately for Jason, fast speed spells are lethal a little sooner.
Yes. Something I have noticed this whole game is that both have the KDA board. Is that... Can you even buy that anymore? Or was that just during the event?
I'm not sure.
Me neither. But now we see the atrocity. As expected. I'm telling you this for a couple of turns. The GG comes in. The Pokestick. Just to show. I have some Nexus damage as well. Here, take it. And that was a very convincing series from Squirrelywag. Also, really good lineup there. I still don't know if I like it more than Shurima version. But in one of the attached metas, as we mentioned, you don't have a good quicksand against Rainbow Fish. Maybe Ionia has some tricks up their sleeve that are a bit better. Here we saw the Kindred was a bit threatening. Jason had a really, really fantastic turn where he took down Kindred and Viego in the same turn. And that would have almost done it, right? That was
very
almost
close.
almost enough.
Close.
And it was just because Squirrelywag actually had basically the perfect game. And I told you guys this deck is more inconsistent than the Shurima version. And then Squirrelywag just comes in, draws both... No, draws not only both Viego and Kindred, but also draws the Hydra, also draws the Atrocity. Everything Squirrelywag needs was there. And usually those games don't look like that. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Okay?
He
If you
draws
go
the
on
one
ladder-
of Syncopation, both
Yeah.
champions, Hydrovine, the Atrocity. Just everything he needs is right there.
Look, if you go on ladder and you play a deck, I promise you, you will play at least 2 of your games without Viego. You go there, your first 2 games will be you not drawing Viego, you may be drawing one Hydrovine and you're still losing the game, okay? That will be your experience. But as always, sometimes, if you do get the right cards, this deck can be a bit stronger than the Shurima version. I'm not gonna play it, but I feel like this is just one of those decks where you have a lot of hardcore Viego Ionia players. There are people who are playing this every season basically, and they swear this deck is good and they swear it's playable. I don't believe, even though we just saw this game, I feel like this was a high roll. I'm gonna say it. I feel like this was an absolute high roll.
It looked like an absolute high roll.
Hell yeah. Okay, let's see if we have some other matchups going on that we could jump into. I'm looking at this. Maybe if Cameron Hanzo and What Am I are still playing, but it seems that they have already finished their game. Again, What Am I is playing a control lineup, yes, but a control lineup that can close out games on turn 6, turn 7, as we saw with the Thresh pulling out the big dragon and finishing the game. I think it was on turn 7, right? Where we had Thresh on turn 4.
We had Thresh on turn 5.
Oh, I think we had Thresh on turn 4 because we reduced
Oh
the
yeah,
cost.
it was Thresh on turn 4, a Soul on turn 5.
Yes, Ace on turn 5, but then we didn't finish the game at that point. We had to wait till turn 6 was over to finish the game with the open attack on turn 7, I think. But again, that was like a very insane game. Okay, who else is still playing? We have Rogio versus Tupac. That could be a good matchup. We also have... Do we have Prodigy still playing?
No, Prodigy doesn't appear to still be in game.
She's that Prodigy also dropped out. We have 4LW is still playing. Okay, so actually double teaming the tournaments. So maybe we hop into the end of 4LW's game there. Get one more catch of the glorious Udir fish. Wait, is he playing this tournament right now?
Is this our tournament game or the other tournament game?
It might be the other because he's not playing against someone named Matty24 Mayo. Also a really cool name, by the way. I don't for sure get it, but I'm gonna give you the benefit of the doubt that there is some deep meaning behind the words Matty24 Mayo. Okay, maybe we have all of the games done already. This took quite a while, right? We had the Aphelios
we
Mirror,
had
which took
the
ages.
Aphelios mirror that took forever.
Might have been the longest 2-0 I've seen in quite a while.
The longest game one. It just kept going.
It was a whole best of 3 in that game. Again, I think the first series between What Am I and his opponent finished in, I think, 10 minutes, even though it was control decks and the Aphelios were just dragged on for ages. But that means we are going to take a short break and we're going to be right back with round 3 of Swiss for today's Mastering Runeterra Road to Seasonals. Stay tuned. And here we are back. Now, we are still waiting on round 3 of Swiss to start. Still SparklingIceTea here with Jansports, and we are bringing you a game of Grandpa Roji next, because Roji is currently 2-0. And, what lineup has Roji brought?
He's brought the lineup that anyone who knows Roji would expect Roji to be playing. He's on his favorite deck, Taliyah Malphite, the one that made him famous. Still pretty similar lists to the lists we've seen from him previously. Only now with this 2 of Celestial Wonder, um, instead of the Ground Pound main deck, um, giving it a little bit more option against wider boards, other than just matching, um, which we see with no Desert Naturalist. He's not getting the same kind of tempo that Endless Devout Desert Naturalist allows for, um, but instead taking a slower, measured approach to the game, because once you have a leveled Malphite or Taliyah on the board, you can just run away with the game so quickly.
Yeah, this is one of the decks where I think Celestial One is also very often used as an offensive tool if you don't have a Malphite. But it's really interesting how the evolution of Taliyah Malphite found its way to end up in Endless Devout Herald of Magus. I think this was not always the case. I remember where we played Earth Elemental and cards like that, but now it appears that Endless Devout, right off the Arcane, especially, is a combo that we don't want to miss. It's so strong. It has been carrying Zilean Xerath, it has been carrying Mono Shurima, and it's also fantastic in this deck. Now, we also have the Quicksand in here now, because Quicksand is really strong again, can help us as well defend as attack. It's good to get rid of fearsome blockers, it's good to get a couple of good trades. And again, if your opponent is playing some Overwhelm deck or some fearsome elusive deck, can also help us survive a bit. We have a lot of options in this deck, and with the newly buffed Malphite, the play patterns have been getting a bit more complex, which this deck already was not the easiest deck to play. You look at this and you think, okay, this is a very solid mid-range deck, and before the Endless Devout right off the Arcane list with the Earth Elementals, you might have thought that this deck was a deck where you just slam good cards and you just kind of outvalue your opponent on the board with stats, but it was never really the case. And I think Roji showed that, because Roji had way more success with the deck, taking some really tough decisions on what units to give up, when to stun, and what trades to take. And again, with mid-range decks, I think there's a bit more depth than people think. And this is one of the decks where I feel like you can make a lot of mistakes without knowing.
This is certainly one of those decks. If you're inexperienced with the deck, you might be tempted to just play your good dudes on curve. Maybe you have a bit of spell mana and you use a Quicksand or Rite of the Arcane to get, better board advantage. But when I watch Roji play this deck, there's a lot of times where he'll say, I'm fine taking a huge tempo loss this turn to just play Salt Spire so that I can copy it with Taliyah the following turn. And even though those 2 turns, just playing Salt Spire and then just playing Taliyah, aren't advancing your board immediately, and you can fall behind a bit, maybe your Nexus takes a little bit of damage, the following turn, where you have 2 rock bears and one of them is the size of a large apartment complex, suddenly it doesn't matter that you weren't contesting the board previously because you've won it.
Yeah, no, completely true. And I feel like Salt Spire is such an interesting card, and a lot of people tried to make it work back in the day, back when Taliyah was first released. But Malphite now, with Taliyah in combination, has really made the card super scary, just because you have the option to just completely stun out of your opponent's board, and all of a sudden it doesn't matter that it's not a big overwhelm unit, it's just a big unit, because if you don't have anything to block it, it's still gonna be really scary. Now, let's take a look at another deck that Roji is consistently bring to tournaments. And you were saying that Roji is actually one of the people that tried to get Pantheon work in the first place back when Pantheon was released.
Yeah, I remember when Pantheon first released, one of my teammates was playing around with Mono Pantheon, and we would always stop by Roji's stream to see what he was trying with Pantheon. He tried Mono Pantheon, he tried Pantheon Taric, he tried Pantheon this, Pantheon that. He's tried, I think, more things with Pantheon than anyone else I can think of. And so the way he understands the champion allows him to play this deck at a comfort level that I would be concerned with if I were his opponent.
Yeah, there are a few players who are really scary Pantheon players and who play this deck way better than everyone else. It's interesting though that you mentioned that Roji tried around a lot of different Pantheon versions, but in the end arrived at the list that basically everyone plays. So it turns out that this is actually just the best Pantheonist. There's sometimes a few arguments if you want to play a triple Cataclysm, or if you want to play two Cataclysm, if you want to play a Rally instead. Roji deciding to not play Rally, which is, a bit different than what most people would play. But say with the triple Cataclysm, you don't really need the Rally because you really want to attack with one unit most of the time anyways, and not with a wide board. So it definitely makes sense to just go triple Cataclysm.
Yeah, and in this list we see 3 Cataclysm, 3 single combat, and the full 3 concerted strikes. Grandpa Roji really valuing what little bit of interaction this deck is allowed to run with the Demacia package.
It is a lot of interaction, actually. Those are 9 cards that can kill units. That is scary. Especially seeing a combat, because seeing combat by some people, held in regard as a 2-mana vengeance. And I think in the Pantheon deck kind of makes sense because the units are getting so big, so combat is most of the time able to kill another unit. We are completely missing any way to get spell shield outside of Yuumi. So no Bastion. No Camphor. Camphor was like a very sweet tech that came in. I don't know how good Camphor really was, or if it was just a few people that really wanted to play Camphor in their decks. But also no Bastion is interesting.
Yeah. Perhaps just trusting Yuumi to do the spell shielding that you need, or Pantheon to roll spell shield when you need it. Or perhaps just not believing that there's going to be too many vengeances happening in this meta. We've seen a good amount of Aphelios, and this 3 single, 3 Cataclysm, 3 concerted seems like it has a lot more resilience into the Fey Aphelios decks than you would be getting from a Bastion, which doesn't really stop anything since that deck doesn't interact with your champions all that much.
Okay, so Roji and his opponent are currently doing the ban. So let's take a look at the third deck before they hop into game. And it is Mono Shurima with only 1 Golden Ambassador in the deck, only 2 Endless Devouts. That is a very interesting list because you also have a Time in a Bottle. This is a card I did not expect to see.
Yeah, some people have been on Time in a Bottle instead of Clockwork Curator. It gives you a predict because, Golden Ambassador and Rite of Calling help you find your champions, which of course are eminently important for the deck. But there are some matchups where the important card isn't necessarily a champion. It might be Rite of Negation. It might be getting another Quicksand out of your deck before the disc flips. Because once you have the Emperor's deck, you're not drawing your main deck cards anymore. And so finding those defensive tools that you're going to lose access to later with the predict from Time in a Bottle is perhaps the reason for that choice over Clockwork Curator.
Alright. On the one side, we are playing the Roji Special. On the other side, we are playing a deck where we couldn't quite decide what champions to play because they all kind of fit in this deck. I would imagine the Vi is a one-off. Maybe it's also one of Zoe, and then it's just
2 Viktor, 2 Aphelios.
2 Viktor, 2 Aphelios, or 3 Viktor, 1 Aphelios? I am not quite sure. Again, I've been complaining about this in every tournament I cast. The Vi buff should have gone through. Okay? Vi is a very good champion, but she will stay a one-off champion if she doesn't get buffed, or if she doesn't get reworked. Vi is an excellent one-off champion, but unfortunately does not really make a lot of sense as a 3-off in most decks. In some decks, it's okay. Back in the old Viktor decks, you know, I say old, but in the Viktor decks of the last patch, where we had unnerved bot and unnerved ambush, triple Vi made sense. But nowadays, Vi is just back to being a one-off, but it's a very good one-off. For example, in most of these matchups, especially against these mid-range decks like Pantheon, are kind of unwinnable for your Aphelios Viktor deck. But if you have a one-off Vi, which can take care of a mid-game threat like a Wounded White Flame or like a Pantheon, your win rate goes up astronomically.
Yeah, and here we see from Roji the turn 4 Salt Spire. Turn 5, I imagine he's just gonna windmill slam this Taliyah onto the board.
Come on, there's so much to see.
There we go. Again, very scary turn. I think this is gonna be the turn where you have to answer with the Vi here. Try to drag and kill the Taliyah next turn. To at least get that threat off the board.
Yeah, Taliyah not yet leveled, so not threatening too much. But we definitely don't want to give...
Spilled paint is just accidental art.
Oh, and the Crescent Strike picked up from Kalma.
I see it, you know, your opponent is working with a lot of stuns. You're gonna give them some taste of their own medicine, stunning and preventing their big attacks.
Distance means so little when family means so much.
Talking about flip Taliyah. There we
And
go.
There she is.
Yeah, Vi can still take this out. Easy peasy.
But
One card I
Roji-
don't like right now in Karma's hand. Okay, sorry, first. I interrupted you.
Oh, yeah, I was to say, but Roji, having spent all of his mana on Taliyah, I think Kalma choosing to use that thermogenic beam as there was no threat of an ancient hourglass to protect the Taliyah from that. And we still have the possibility to develop Vi this turn to answer another threat.
Ooh, but Roji gets to copy another high value landmark. Gets to still work on this board.
Here comes the punchline.
That said, that Vi is gonna flip, is gonna be a threat. Unfortunately, has to probably block in the next couple of turns.
Justice is
Yeah, but answering the second Taliyah and preserving the blocker that can actually trade with this 9/8 Rock Bear is about as good as a single card can get for Kalma.
Yeah, this list is wild. Okay, so first of all, we're running some fumes over Get Excited, which I don't think I'm a big fan of. But apparently we also something Moon Dreamer?
Moon Dreamer.
Oh my god, I got it. Yes.
It's the bad main decked Traveler.
Yes, it's a bad man. It finds a traveler. All right. We also apparently find some answers for, I guess, another Taliyah, or no, wait, this is just in case our opponent finds Malphite, huh? We don't have any way to deal with Malphite, so yeah, it makes sense. Karma actually had to get this to be able to deal with Malphite.
Yeah, but even with an answer for Malphite in hand, these landmarks becoming units...
If you're gonna die, Malphite nowadays stuns a unit once he hits the board. I doubt Roji's gonna commit Malphite here. And you can't really pass here either. You are stuck between a rock bear and a hard place right now on Karma's side. I think this game is lost. There's no way going back here.
Does not look very good for the Aphelios Viktor Viego deck.
I want to know what the one-offs are.
It's 1 Vi, 1 Zoe. 2 Viktor, 2 Aphelios.
The 2-2-1-1 split. I mean, that it kind of fits this deck. This is a toolbox deck.
Yeah.
That said, it's kind of hard to find your tools if they're just one-off and two-offs.
Yeah. Oh, maybe Kalma Epaz is just a big fan of the band Rush, and this 2-1-1-2 champion split is a small shout out to the 2112 album.
I have no idea what you just said. Genuinely no idea. But maybe. Yeah, I'm just gonna agree with you here.
Sure. Well, I just thought, you know, if 2 2s, 2 1s, the only way I can arrange those numbers that makes anything recognizable is 2112, an album by the progressive rock band Rush about the future, where music is outlawed.
Oh no. Is it good? Can you recommend it?
I very much recommend it.
Alright. Worth a listen. You get your best music tips right here. I'm definitely gonna listen to the 2211?
2112.
2112. I'm gonna listen to 2112 by Rush.
Much to see.
And Roji just can't stop drawing champions.
It
His
is
third
literally impossible.
Taliyah.
Wait, that means we survive. Oh, do we this is tough. So we could just stun here, but then the units just stay on the board, and we don't really gain that much because we are still losing. Those units don't go away, and we have to get rid of them later anyways. Or yeah, we use the supernova right here, obliterate those two big units. Don't have any answer for Malphite left though.
But, you know, he can see that Roji is low on cards. He doesn't know that there's a Malphite in his hand.
Yo, we find Viktor.
Would you look at this place?
As humanity aches, the machines rise.
Is that Viktor from 1122? Bad chest.
And faded, not the best keyword here.
Oh no! Wait! But wait! We draw away to trigger faded.
But unfortunately, no more blockers.
Yeah, that would be fine if Gerberoji wouldn't have this right of negation as well. We gotta survive this turn because yeah, right of negation comes in. We still have the Celestial Wonder, so we can still stun out 2 units here. So we only take 5 this turn. Is that gonna get us anywhere though? Because we still can't remove the Malphite.
If we have 2 Viktor keywords before everything is said and done. So
one of them has to be spell shield. The other one is elusive. Oh, that's tough.
tough. It's not gonna get there, I don't think.
Oh, we draw another Viktor. Okay, I mean, this starts with a Glorious Evolution. It also ends with a Glorious Evolution, but can always hope. Oh, we got the oh my god, we got the Spell Shield. Kind of a low roll on the tough, huh? That was not the main deck, Glorious, right?
No, that was found off Reggie.
Okay, rare miss from Reggie. Rare miss.
Oh dear.
Not giving us a sunburst. Okay, so what if we silence this? Wait a minute. Wait a minute. No, wait. So we get a trade here. We survive again next turn. Oh no, okay. Dude, what the hell is Roji doing? How does he draw like every champion in the goddamn deck? Dude, Karma is fighting for the game right now, and Roji's just high rolling him.
Yeah, that's when you dedicate yourself so wholly to a deck like Taliyah Malphite, the way Grandpa Roji has. The deck rewards you for that loyalty.
I feel so bad for Karma right now. I like Roji's one of my favorite players, but this is just that was an unethical game.
5 champions drawn is often a little much for most decks to handle.
Yeah, that said, you know, Roji has a bit more control over what champion he draws because Roji did not put a couple of one-off champions in this deck. Let's see what Roji is left with. It appears to be Yuumi Pantheon, which is now going up against a deck that has quite a bunch of silences and potential answers. Again, I think in this matchup specifically, it's really important to get that one-off Vi in your hand as early as possible. As well, yeah, Reggie, again, also a good card. Sunburst is surprisingly good in this matchup.
Yeah, and that Zenith Blade from Roji, I think, is maybe the most important card for the Pantheon deck in this matchup, as being able to produce threats before Pantheon is important to sort of exhaust those resources, the sunbursts, the hushes, the stuns, until you play Pantheon. And because if your units aren't threatening before that, your opponent can mostly ignore them. You know, chump block with a Forge Chief. And then when you do play Pantheon, suddenly all of their answers are pointed at him at once. But Zenith Blade really stresses the opponent.
You know what would stress me? Roji having both champions again in the opening hand. I think Roji's playing an entirely different game than I am. An entirely different Runeterra. This is how the devs envisioned this game to be played.
Yeah, both champions in hand, the Zenith Blade. He even briefly had a faded unit. I know when I play Pantheon on ladder, my hands usually don't look.
Nope, absolutely not. Missing the one drop in the most important matches. Never finding Pantheon. Always hides in the bottom 3.
It's our time.
Oh, and Kalma invoking the warrior, who is like a sort of almost Vi.
Yes, it's the budget Vi. Warrior was very good back when Targon was released. Just a 5/5 challenger was insanely good.
Yeah, nowadays a little less impressive.
Alright, we do have one of our 2 Affilios though. Which means if we get there, if our Affilio survives, we can potentially cycle a couple Gravitims to stall out the non-Pantheon units on the board.
Yeah, very important to do. Also preventing the Yuumi level up once we start getting Gravitum
You leave me no recourse.
all over this guy.
Ooh, heads up play here from Roji, making use of the Yuumi in hand. Yuumi, unfortunately, not as good a champion to draw more than once, just because the champion spell usually not that good, but in niche situations like this, absolutely fantastic to push 2 extra damage to keep your unit nice and healthy. I do imagine that next turn we will see a Gravitum on this unit, though.
Yeah, you're usually very excited to cycle your moon weapons over to Gravitum and stop a Zenith Blade Yuumi unit from doing anything.
Yeah, that said, you're gonna stare Pantheon in the eye very soon. We've seen experienced Pantheon players actually drag out the Pantheon development quite a bit. So you don't drop him immediately when he's flipped. Wait like 1 or 2 more turns to just get like 1 or 2 more keywords on that Pantheon to increase the chance that the Pantheon actually has Spell Shield and will survive.
Only a fool would enter battle.
And
Yeah.
I would imagine Grandpa Roji might go for a very similar game plan. So right now Pantheon is already flipped, but I don't know if Roji is down to develop Pantheon this turn already. I think you can chill a bit.
I think he's comfortable chilling for a bit. This challenge from the warrior isn't actually threatening, thanks to the variety of tools. Oh. But instead choosing to let it go.
Oh, it goes with a bang though. Takes down a Philios, takes down a 2-1, basically prevents our Nexus here from getting, quite a bit of damage. Takes down 3 units.
And the more I think about it, the more I like that play from Roji, as he has no other units to sort of stall out the game and collect more keywords. So getting the Yuumi back in hand to be able to attach it to the Pantheon, which as a champion can only be gravitumed for 1 turn rather than 2.
Yeah. The one thing I fear here is that this Pantheon does not have Spell Shield, right? So if Big Man Reggie here can find us a Sunbeam, we are in trouble. It appears that that is not the case, though. You really wanted to find it here.
Awesome day for progress.
Yeah. But with the Wonder in hand and Progress Day or Star Shaping to give us some...
Ooh. Okay, so we currently don't have another Celestial card in hand, so we kind of have to take it.
Unfortunately, can't take the Supernova.
Yeah.
Especially knowing that Roji's list isn't on any of the Bastions.
Yeah, Supernova is insane because it also gets rid of the Yuumi, right?
Yeah.
I remember back when Yuumi was released, there was a weird bug where if you put Spell Shield on your unit while it was threatened by an Obliterate spell, what happened is that your unit would get, if it gets the Spell Shield removed, unit would survive and Yuumi would still get obliterated, and you couldn't play future Yuumis in your hand. Like, Yuumis were still champion spell. It was still like Yuumi was there even though she wasn't.
That's unusual. I don't think I'd ever seen that.
This game is still very open because we still have a couple of stuns for this Pantheon. This Pantheon is not getting Spell Shield anytime soon. Yuumi is still on 0 stacks. We haven't attacked with this Pantheon once. She hasn't seen any attacks so far. So we can actually just stun this Pantheon and chill a bit.
Yeah, stun the Pantheon. Looking to really I think try to spend as much of our hand as possible this turn, so that on Kalma's following turn, we get as many chances to find Comet or Supernova with Living Legends as possible.
Yeah, we absolutely have to get rid of the Dust Petal here, for example. It buffs up our bot, why not, right? And as you mentioned, if we find it, there is another Pantheon waiting in Grandpa Roji's hand, so it's not all over at that point. But I can't help but feel that Kama will at least breathe one sigh of relief once this big Pantheon with the Yumi on it is already gone.
The Rasa the Sunderer, though.
Yo! Okay, wait. That is potentially a very unethical card. You can actually Mystic Shot your own unit next turn and play that. Oh, I think that is the play. Oh, Telescope doing telescope things. That is the most telescope thing ever.
Yeah. An opponent with only 2 units.
Oh yeah, you don't Mystic Shot your unit, you obviously attack here. Roji is not going to play around the Raza. I forgot that Roji can't see the hand. Yeah, Roji is not going to play around Raza the Sandra in 2022. Oh no! Roji also committing a few spells in there's Raza. And if there is a time for Roji to put out some emotes, you know, pull out a sad poro, I think it's now.
This. There it is.
There we
Roji
go.
wants out.
Oh no! This is so. This is. Yeah, telescope in a nutshell. We kind of been missing a lot of these telescope moments. I mean, not missing. We've kind of not been having them.
We haven't seen them as much.
Yeah, we haven't seen it as much since telescope is now a 3-mana 2/2. But I think we've been reminded in the last couple of days that telescope is an absolute bonkers card that can still give you some really, really stupid cards. Yeah, I think you gotta.
And this follow-up Pantheon with...
That was Spell Shield. Unfortunately, the Spell Shield is going to get taken off by a Mystic Shot, I believe. And the next turn, we again try to remove that. Also, we have Raza now for a single combat that next turn could potentially hit the board. I feel like Grandpa Roji not having another Concerted Strike here is very good. Also, Roji, very disciplined, keeps the Concerted Strike back. So remember, Roji almost used Concerted Strike on Raza.
Yeah, recognizing that from the Spell Thief Kalma played, there weren't a lot of things that deck would be likely to choose. The Zenith Blade doesn't make much sense. You know, the Guiding Touch maybe, but thinking that the possibility of that single combat...
I think we still gotta go for it. We go for the single combat now. It also empties our hand a bit, right? We play Dust Petal. And then we go and try to find anything that would kill this Pantheon. Ooh. No, yeah. I think we still kill Raza here. Even Pantheon at 2 health would be kind of scary. Because, I mean, Mystic Shot or some Fumes could take this down.
Yeah, without any further way to protect the Pantheon from things like Mystic Shot or some Fumes. And now it comes down to if Living Legends can find...
an Obliterate card, any removal, and we find... Is that a big nothing?
It's the Great Beyond, which can block,
Is it enough?
but not enough.
Well, it's still lethal. Also, we have challenge on this Pantheon. Never mind. Oh my god, what a close game! It all came down to this moment, and Kamai Pass, after playing so well, unfortunately does not find what they need. That was
Yeah,
very
the
close
telescope
to
tried to get it there, but
Yeah.
Rasa was just not enough.
Goddamn. Well played from both sides. Some crazy moments in there. And that was a very, very close 2-0. Again, we've been having some close 2-0s, although I would also say we had some very
Unclose 2-0s.
yeah, very, very, very open 2-0s. Like I feel like the 2-0 here between what am I in the first round. I that was not a close 2-0. That was like a 10-minute 2-0. But this was a nail biter. Okay, let me see if we have any games still going on.
Even though it was a 2-0, Kalma played very well and managed to get a lot out of that Targon P&Z list to find answers for really dangerous looking situations.
Yeah. Okay, so I think out of the 2-0 players, we have a none still playing. It appears that Flap is still playing. The last time I casted one of these daily Road to the Seasonal that was not the $500 GG Tour tournament, I think Flap made it to the top cut, so I definitely want to watch that match. Alright. It is another Filios, okay. But, I'm surprised to say this, it's one of the few Darknesses.
Darkness, we haven't been seeing so much of it recently.
No, we have not. Honestly, not that upset about it. Not that upset about it. Darkness is like one of those decks that like came into the game pre-built, and I'm not like ripping on that because it can be fun and it is very well designed. I gotta say this. Darkness is a very well designed deck, but it's very pre-built. Just like I think it is a control version of Lurk, right? Well, because
Yeah.
Lurk also came into the game and you're like, okay, yeah, you know how to play this deck, you know how to build this deck. It's just sometimes a bit boring to play against Darkness. That said, Darkness does have a problem from time to time. To deal with whiteboards like this, especially with Spell Shield whiteboards.
Oh, and this second Gleaming Lantern. With even more 4-power Owlcats. Some of them now elusive thanks to Rainbow Fish.
Yeah, Darkness is just a bit slow here. We do have Ruination in the list, but Ruination in Darkness list is mostly a one-off. We have seen metas where it's a 2-off. I don't know if this would be one of those. But yeah, you certainly struggle against go white lists.
Yeah, and also in this Darkness list, 2 mini-morphs, which used to be pretty standard in Darkness, but sort of fell out of favor. But now seems to be coming back.
I really like this attack from Flap. Going all in, saying, hey, I don't really have any use for this Lantern anymore. I would rather get some damage out of it because I don't really need the cost reduction of my units anymore because my hand is almost empty. Almost same with the Grandfather Face. Would rather push some more damage with the Owlcats. Now finds a Papercraft Dragon. That could potentially be something we could play alongside of Aphelios. Aphelios can give us Overwhelm. So if we can find Papercraft Dragon here, put it on the Owlcat, next turn we get an Infernum. That is another giant threat.
Yeah, and these attached units on these Spell Shield Owlcats are
Putting it on 1-2. Okay, we wanna go a bit wide. That makes sense.
I think I see. With the 6-2 elusive, the 4-1 Spell Shield, and the 4-5 Quick Attack, with the Flame Spitter in hand, any one of those units getting through unblocked is threatening lethal.
Oh, proactively committing this Flame Spitter here. Now going in for the Affilios, and we probably just, yeah, we probably pick Infernum, call it a day. The Affilios gets killed here. The Affilios is not the threat here. Honestly, the Affilios is definitely not the threat here. I don't know if that was even correct, trying to remove the Affilios. I know why you want to remove it as far as possible, but I don't think this is a value game anymore. Yeah, and the shiny mode comes through, and this is the end of the game. It doesn't seem like it's Darkness meta. Yeah. Way too many grandfathers. It turns out a couple of old men still really dangerous here. It's just not a Darkness meta. And I don't even think it has anything to do with the Catalyzer nerfs, because Catalyzer is still a strong card. Losing that one attack power, I don't think was that detrimental to the Darkness game plan. I just feel like the meta has changed in a way where Darkness is just not able to keep up. There are a lot of landmark decks on the ladder right now, and Darkness has absolutely no interaction with landmarks. And if you want some landmark interaction in your deck, you have to play really bad cards.
Like Crumble?
Oh, yeah. Or Yordle Contraception. Two cards you do not want to play. Two cards you do not want to play. And then we also have something like this Affilios Fizz deck. Fizz, very good against Darkness. Affilios just generating a lot of value priority target to take down. And alongside of it, we have the Phase Swarm that we can't really keep up with. Not a good time for Darkness.
No.
And I hope it stays that way.
Yeah. And, you know, with decks like Pantheon just making units too big to kill with Darkness, you only have so many Vengeance and Minimorph.
Yeah. I mean, the Pantheon decks are getting disrespectful now, right? All of a sudden.
Not even running Bastion.
Yeah, not even running Bastion. Don't need them anymore. But to be fair, right now we are in a meta where I think the Pantheon decks can actually allow themselves to do that, especially if you can take it a bit slower. I feel like a lot of Pantheon players, again, that do know how to play the deck and do know you can, wait a bit with the Pantheon, maybe stack a few more keywords on your other units to get to that spell field a bit more easily, have a better chance to win without the use of the Bastion. And we don't really have to have a pre-commit spell shield on any unit anymore because we don't have the threat of a Minimorph. This is the one thing that is very good about Darkness not being in the meta anymore and Banner Tree being nerfed. Nobody has to be afraid of Minimorph currently.
No one's afraid. You just, who cares? They don't have it.
And still, Lee Sin can't be played. That is quite unfortunate. Now, Minimorph is finally out of the meta, and Cyan immediately seized the opportunity, said, okay, this is my time. I'm gonna swing back into the meta, and poor Lee Sin, Minimorph is finally gone, but, because of a couple of the nerfs to the Lee Sin deck,
Lee Sin
still can't make
still
it back.
Struggling a little bit.
Yeah. You might say it's even worse now, even though Minimorph was nerfed.
Yeah, at least. At least with Minimorph, you could open Bastion.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
you die.
It's hard to play the deck because you die.
It's because you die. I mean, some Psycho is gonna bring it to top 32 anyways, right? That is like 100. I think if I do a bingo, again, I usually do like a seasonal bingo. If I post a seasonal bingo on Twitter again, Lee Sin is in there. Somebody is for sure gonna bring Lee Sin. Yes.
Yeah.
No way that's not gonna happen. Lee Sin has way too many fans out there. All right. But that's it with round number 3, and we're gonna take a short break, after which we are back with the final round of Swiss for you, and at the end of this broadcast, so stay tuned, and we'll be right back. Hey, and we are back. It's still Jansports, SparklingIceTea here, and we are bringing you the fourth and final Swiss round of today's daily Road to Seasonal Mastering Runeterra tournament. Again, check out Mastering Runeterra on Community Gaming. These tournaments are not the big open tournaments like the $500 one on the weekend, but these are for the Patreons of Mastering of Runeterra. So if you want to play in one of these tournaments in the future, I bet there will be another Road to Seasonals for the next one. Sign up to the Mastering of Runeterra Patreon. You also get a lot of other perks and a lot of prep, for example, if you want to play in the seasonal. Now, we looked at who's currently still at 3-0, undefeated. And we have Flap, who we've already seen, falling to Void. We haven't seen Grandpa Roji, we have seen, and Scathis. Now, Scathis has, again, a lineup that is very similar to what we've been seeing today. So, as you remember, we've seen a lot of Physophilios, as usual, right? But
Yeah.
what is another deck that we have seen quite a lot of today? Not really being played, but just a deck that has appeared in a lot of lineups.
That would be Scouts.
Exactly, and here I have the Scouts list, and I feel like Physophilios and Scouts are paired a lot.
Yeah. And I think the main cause of that is both of the decks have a notable unfavored matchup into Pantheon, but are generally good against a variety of other decks. Scouts has game into aggro, it has game into control decks because of the rallies. And so by being able to just say, well, what if I just ban Pantheon, right? And I play these two decks that do very strong things together in the Physophilios and Scouts.
If I look at this deck, I do realize that there is a lot of disagreement between Scouts pairs, apparently, on what 6-drop is worth a 3 of and what 6-drop is worth a 1 of. So we've seen 3 of Genevieve, 1 of Cyphria, we've seen 3 Genevieves, 2 Cyphrias, but here we have 3 Cyphrias, 1 Genevieve. On what side of the debate are you? Are you like a Cyphria or a Genevieve kind of guy?
I'm a fence sitter. I run 2 Cythria, 2 Genevieve in my
Ooh.
Scouts list.
Oh no. You're the worst.
I'm just the worst.
Yeah,
I can't make up my mind.
We also have a double Pellet Squire here and 2 Shield of the Runs. This is also an interesting card that we see in and out of the Scouts list. I like Shield of the Run personally, but I could also get why you wouldn't want to play that necessarily. Now, I feel like without Misfortune, this deck still struggles, but we've talked about how Vanguard Sergeant makes it a bit better, because you can go wide, for example, Island Navigator, and still get those wide swings. Now, with only one of Genevieve, this is hardly a Scouts deck anymore. So we only really have Quinn and Island Navigator to generate us some Scouts. Surprisingly, this deck consistently gets Island Navigator. I don't know how, but even though we run very little Scouts, we do be scouting a lot with this deck.
It's, there's 7 cards that say Scout in the deck. That's enough to keep calling the deck Scouts, right?
All right, but we also have 6 elites. It is an elite deck now.
There is quite a few elites.
Yeah, you could name this elite. Yeah, this is an elite deck now. Have you seen the Garen version?
I have the 2 Quinn, 1 Garen.
Yeah, I like it. I actually like it. Yeah, I understand why Quinn is so important, and if you're only playing 1 Genevieve, maybe you load up on Quinns just to get, the critical number of scouts. But to be fair, the One of Garen version also gives another win condition outside of Misfortune, which I really like.
Yeah. This version, it's really either you find MF or you find Vanguard Sergeant, and you have a strong 4 Demacia turn.
Yeah, I mean, for the Marcia again works kind of like Yordle in Arms, just a bit more consistent. And in Scouts, again, you have the Island Navigator, which is just fantastic with for the Marcia. So,
Yeah,
the deck,
if you hit the right kind of curve where it's like Sergeant on 3, Navigator on 4, Quinn on 5, 4 Demacia with 4 Scout units in play.
it can be quite good. Now, the third deck goes a bit against the grain. This is a deck we also see quite a bit. But this time, I'm a bit surprised to see Zilean Echo now with the one of Golden Ambassador and one of Desert Duel. I don't know if I like this deck cards. We do run a lot of PNZ cards for this Golden Ambassador. Maybe that's why it's a one-off, but I feel like this could
We
go,
do
this could go
also
wrong.
predict about as much as is possible for a deck to predict.
That is true. That is true. So maybe we just get there. We get to see it here in game 1. We have the Aqua Zilean on Scaffer's side. Now, I don't believe in this deck as much if it's not Salty Simon playing, but maybe Scaffer's is going to surprise me.
Oh, here in NA for quite a while, the Echo Zilean deck was known as the Skathis pile.
Oh, that's actually true. Scaffer's actually made the list that Simon is playing, I think.
Yeah, Skathis has been tinkering with Echo Zilean for several seasons now.
So you're telling me that Golden Ambassador is a new tech, and because Scaffer's is playing it, it is the correct card to play.
If your prediction is correct,
It's the best one of you
Probably
could've found.
correct, objectively.
Objectively correct to run Golden Ambassador. It is optimal to run 1 Golden Ambassador. I also like the one of Desert Duel. No Mystic Shot. Not even as a
Yeah,
one-off.
I think Desert Duel sort of fills a lot of the same purpose that Mystic Shot would, but has the upside of also possibly letting you strike more often with Echo for value, or target things that are too big for Mystic Shot to threaten, like in Aphelios.
Scaffer's actually trading their board early on, which is interesting. No regard so far for the board. Obviously, Flap takes all those trades because Flap's goal is basically to keep this board down so that no big revive turns can come through. If only 3 units are attacking, and if you trade off a couple of them, it's not quite as bad. Again, as you mentioned, we see a ton of predicting. You always know what you're going to draw next with this deck. And we might see Golden Ambassador now, because after that predict, we are sure to hit the allegiance, but
second
we don't hit the
Zilean.
champion. Yeah, oh, that is a bit unfortunate. I was not what Scathis was hoping for. A lot of preparation for something that it is unlikely we see it. in this game. Maybe if this Zilean threatens to level up. Maybe then we kill it and we can play the other Zilean.
Yeah. Since its round start effect does not care about Spell Shield.
Question is, where are the hungry owl cats? Currently nowhere to be found. We do have a Papercraft Dragon here. That can get really dangerous, especially with a flipped Aphelios and Infernum. We do have Quicksand, but Quicksand can't get rid of the double attack, which means that even if you take away the Overwhelm and you take a bit of attack power away, we still have the double attack, which means that we also have quick attack rolling. So Quicksand here, not really the best card. So I understand why Scathis was actually deciding against taking the Quicksand in the Predict. Now has 2 time bombs, can flip the Zilean, so the Zilean actually becomes quite dangerous. Which is why I believe Flap could look to take him down.
The moon speaks, Aphelios.
Yep, but now flipped, this Aphelios is going to be generating value.
Now this Aphelios is going to do stuff that's just not okay. Oh, that buffs Fizz. Worth it.
Believe, Aphelios.
Yes? What now? Just a moment.
We're sacrificing this Zilean. Play another Zilean. The time bomb hasn't triggered, so that Zilean is going to see this time bomb die. We can actually flip the big Zilean. It's going to give us tons of value. Find another time bomb.
Is always the same.
And with this value, we're going to be going toe-to-toe with Mr. Value himself, Aphelios.
Unfortunately, we also are at 5 HP. Which, at some point, this is no longer a value game. This is a game where your opponent is trying to finish you off next turn they attack.
Future. Just as
Yeah,
we've always
and with the
known.
Papercraft Dragon in hand, odds look good for the phlebotomist.
Alright. Do we find another time up? Unfortunately not. Okay, but we have 2 Absolvers. Listen. Do we go for the Zilean 2 Absolver line? Oh, we can only commit 1.5 Absolvers, I guess. That's fine. How much damage do we push? We push 6? That's not enough. Alright, let's see how Flap blocks here. Maybe there's a misblock happening. We get a 10 attack, Zilean. Okay, so if we only block one of the 2 attack units here. Okay, no, we pre-commit Absolver. Okay, yeah, makes sense. I think otherwise Flap would have probably just let this one go through. We are currently not threatening lethal. Ooh, but Flap probably fears the time bomb. So goes for the blocks here. To not get hit by another time bomb. That makes complete sense.
Yeah, and once this second part of Absolver is committed, the Wallop in hand,
The randomly generated Wallop.
will stop. Was it generated?
Not? Is that one of the main deck? No, yeah. Trinket Trade. Bro, oh, I hate it. I hate it so much. Manifest is something that is living rent-free in my head. All right, and unfortunately there was a small disconnect, so we are just gonna see what happened last turn. No, this turn apparently.
See as I see.
Sped up.
Oh, proud city.
Slip through my paws!
Yes, very interesting lines.
Quickly!
There we
Yeah.
go, and now we are at the game state we were at before.
Twinkling, bitter light.
And as you mentioned, now we see the Warlock, we see the stun, we see Scathers dreams shatter before him. Alright, you do lose your Aphelios though. Which means you... Okay, Flap doesn't know this, but if Flap isn't careful, could potentially miss lethal next turn.
But choosing to play a fresh Aphelios, generating Infernum.
Nothing really stays the same.
We have a bunch of Absolvers right now in Scaffer's hand. Not the cards we need. I like this play, yes. And then you go Infernum on Aphelios. Look at... Oh, okay.
From darkness, light.
I don't like stacking the stats too much on Aphelios. Because that would...
Oh,
That,
a very scary play, as another time bomb would remove that elusive threat.
yeah, you're also stacking keywords on Aphelios right now, which just makes him a bit more vulnerable to quicksand.
My plans!
Like this quicksand is gonna prevent lethal this turn. In the eyes of Scathers, we know that there is Pokestick, that there's Peg Cascade,
Through my paws!
so it's not gonna be quite enough.
Yeah, it is going to stop all but 2 damage.
Alright, what if you go for the 5-head play? You play around all of that by just putting -4 on the Lantern, and you just block the Aphelios with the Zilean.
What now?
Okay, what... Does that even work? Wait, never mind, that doesn't work. You can still finish the game.
Can he?
So... Ooh. We could put Aphelios to 8. No, actually we couldn't have. But now we can. GG, Aphelios Fizz, taking names again.
Once more, an incredibly strong deck that just keeps performing.
Alright, we gotta say though, this Zilean Echo deck also did not perform on the other side, right? We flipped Zilean, but arguably what you want in this matchup is a bit of proactive power. What you want in this matchup is your Echo, you want your Voices of the Risen. Did not find any of these.
Yeah,
It
we
looked a bit slow. It looked a
kept
bit sad.
predicting. Golden Ambassador unfortunately hit second Zilean instead of first Echo.
Yeah, after this one, Golden Ambassador is out of the deck again. Lost her spot immediately.
Immediately. Benched.
Completely punted it. Yeah. Absolutely screwed it up. Like Eminem says, you only got one shot. Well, that was the opportunity of a lifetime for her. And she had to fumble it. Alright, we already started with a drop bot in hand. Never a good sign. Although, I feel like In this matchup, maybe you like 1/3s. They are resilient, if anything.
They are.
Nice day, if you're into coughing. Man, I'm good.
And we're pushing some early damage.
Yeah, but this is-
Against Feel the Rush, probably will be healed back at some point, but
This is one of those matchups where Flap is just absolutely not gonna care. If you don't draw voices, this is just gonna be a sad matchup for you. But luckily, we have a million predicts to get there.
With the power of time, the
oh,
possibilities are
there's
endless.
there's the third drop border.
Oh, no, like, at this point, it's a bit scary. You might not have cared about 2, but 3 drop borders, I think that's too much.
When we look ahead, we know how to prepare.
This is my time.
That is a tough, yeah. So
Yeah.
you could have blocked here, but that just makes it so much more vulnerable to your own AoE effects. That I understand why Flap did not block here. Completely understand it. Blight Ravine here to, maybe scare Scatters off playing this Echo. Echo would be flipped. We also see here the Voice of the Risen. That is going to be huge next turn. Obviously, top deck Avalanche would kind of ruin that. But right now, we don't really have an answer on Flapper's hand.
I love it when things converge like that. Back in the game.
Echo here with one of the more underrated skins in the game. Oh, no way.
Man, I'm good.
Oh, we didn't just do that. Alright, this game is over.
This
Oh,
game
no.
is
Echo, do over.
pretty much over.
Oh. This is a card game. We live in a meta.
We live in a meta.
That was nasty. Okay, luckily Flap is not drawing any win conditions outside of all the removal. So maybe there's a spot where Scathers gets back into the game and can still beat up on Flap's board here. It is gonna be rough though. Like right now, Desert Duel is a completely dead card in the matchup.
Yeah, and with these 2 Vengeances and an It That Stares, Phlebotomist happy to just take his time.
All right, Zilean, what do you find? Time bomb? That's good.
Now, when am I?
This is just gonna be a trundle. We could also try to work with a vengeance here, but I think we just want to play trundle and then use the vengeance reactively in case there's maybe another echo hitting the board here. And there we see the echo, and I think you just fire off the vengeance because you've seen those 2 cards already in your opponent's hand. You've seen them. If you've been hand tracking, you know that they did not have a Rite of Negation before. They did not have a Revive before. A Chrono Break. So I think you can pretty safely use the Vengeance here. And Flap makes the read, uses the Vengeance, and that is, again, so bad for Scaffold. This is the second Echo that already dies without being able to be revived. Voices also dies without the possibility of Voices being revived. If the Quicksand is not committed here. Quicksand is committed, has to be committed here. Damn. There's a buried in ice as well.
Yeah. And unless that next card on top of our deck is second Time Bomb,
Yeah, it's looking so doomed for Scaffers right now. It's another Echo.
But another
Yeah.
champion.
We have to be a bit careful with this one, though. Okay? This one we can't just throw on the board. This one we have to, like, we have to have some revive backup for this one.
Yeah.
If there's no chrono break in our hand, we're not playing this Echo. Or at least a
Yeah.
Rite of Negation.
Right now, just the Trundle. You know, threatening, but not lethal just yet. We have a bit of time before we have to take incredibly desperate measures and just play this Echo with no protection.
And Toronto just sits there, menacingly. Ooh. Maybe this could have been a line where you would have just tried to proactively, with the Trundle, remove the voices. Oh, Scaffers is not going for the MLG play. Oh no, Scaffers is going for another good play. Okay, yeah, I like this. The MLG play here was to block with Echo, and then try to hit the chrono break, and somehow win the game. And we see that this wouldn't have worked. So good on Scaffers for not, throwing the game on the spot. Goes for the measured approach here. And this is a really good card. Unfortunately, we have the perfect answer of the freeze in hand. We actually have so much freeze. We have like, oh, never mind. We have like all the answers in the world.
We have two
here.
freezes, a vengeance.
Yeah, this is not gonna get there. All right, there has to be a chrono. Okay, it was not a chrono break. What the hell is happening? This is okay. Scaffers is really low rolling today.
This is not how the deck prefers to perform.
No, this is just sad.
Nothing's tougher than a troll.
Now we predict into. There is finally the chrono break. We want to get it, so I think Scaffers is gonna try to commit the Absolver here. But once you commit the Absolver, I think Flap is just gonna play the Vengeance here. I don't think, yeah, there is a way to revive the Echo. This is gonna be the third and final Echo dying to the Vengeance. Yep, very good play by Flap. Very heads up. I think some players who are less experienced would have potentially tried to just still take the trade and then would have gotten rallied upon. But Flap, very experienced player, very good player. Immediately removes the Echo. Fights a Tryndamere. Is, I think, gonna end the game this turn.
It's a lot of overwhelm.
Yeah, a lot of overwhelm and an absence of quicksand on the other side. Maybe we can find it here. Oh, you know what? At least we find quicksand here. We're still gonna lose our units here without being able to revive them. We're gonna lose the voices. I don't think we're gonna getting back into the game, but we don't lose this turn.
What's the motive?
Also, yes, it did not appear on screen right now, but for anyone who thought that the Tryndamere would not flip, leveling up is not a keyword. Last breath, not a keyword. Basically, anything that is on cards that cannot be a Viktor keyword is not a keyword.
Yep, if Viktor and Pantheon can't generate it, or Zoe can't share it, Quicksand will not remove it.
Exactly. All right, let's see if we have any games still going on in the last and final round here. So we just saw Scaffers lose, unfortunately, 2-0 against Flap. Flap playing really well here. We still have a What Am I going on. I think we can catch the end of What Am I series, because we've only seen What Am I in round 1, and we've seen very little of What Am I, actually, because that was very fast.
He very commandingly won round 1.
Yeah, a bit, a bit too fast. Could have taken his time. But this looks like a game. All right, we have again, another Zilean Echo with a giant Echo on one side. We have Thresh on the other side. No Asol. This is not a turn 5 Asol.
But it is an eventual Asol.
Yes. And once Asol hits the board, I think I can get this game back into his control. But right now, it just looks fantastic for Infinity Patrons.
That Hush on the Echo, though. Not allowing him to predict, keeping the Thresh alive to attack and pull Asol out of the deck.
Ooh, the Quicksand comes in as well. Yeah, I don't think we want our Echo to die. So,
But we're in an odd position where if none of these units on board for What Am I die, the Asol will have nowhere to go.
yes. I think What Am I will not have a problem there. Because Infinity Patron doesn't win the game if they don't attack. So I think at some point, What Am I is gonna lose a couple of units.
Listen to me.
There we go. Space Maid. Equinox, Crescent Strike, both good cards in this matchup.
Accidental art.
Using the Crescent Strike, as it looks like the first Voices of the Risen has already been Equinoxed. Although a second is certainly a very welcome draw for Infinity.
That is also gonna get sad. I think what happened here is this is yeah, Blind Mystic, and we have another Blind Mystic. Blind Mystic also a fantastic card. And so far has only really seen use in Pantheon decks, but I love that What Am I puts it into a few more Targon control decks, because it is a fantastic control tool.
Yeah, there's quite a few units you wouldn't mind silencing. Your Gleaming Lanterns, Voices of the Risen, Wounded White Flames, sometimes Ballistic Bots.
Making 0-3s. Can't believe Ballistic Bot had to die for Viktor's sins. Can't wait for Zenith Blade to die for Pantheon's sins. You've heard it here first.
You heard it here first. Zenith Blade, next on the chopping block.
Alright, this Echo attack only really has a problem with Hush. But then again, you do have the Station Archivist to try and find a Chrono Break.
Back, heretic.
Actually, that would be incredibly awkward, because your whole board is still alive, and then your Echo wouldn't have space. Your Echo wouldn't have space, so you couldn't even Chrono Break it. So yeah, Hush was the scary card here.
Would like to find the third Voices of the Risen, as these drop borders aren't all that threatening without it.
Yeah, and I think Infinite Pattern unfortunately can't really swing in, because they would level Thresh. But also, your board is full, and we just saw it there. You're losing value. Okay, that was a drop board that just couldn't hit the board right now. It couldn't hit the board from the predict because the board was already full. Now, I'm not saying it looks miserable for both players, but this is a really awkward game.
Yeah, and What Am I very happy to just keep passing.
Obviously, once you find a soul, and you have
It's my time.
access to cards that could obliterate Echo, you are having a good time. Because again, Chrono Break does not revive units that have been obliterated.
The Infinite Patron's taking an attack here. And pushing quite a good bit of damage.
Yeah, this is looking good. The Vengeance here is gonna catch a Rite of Negation. So we're actually pushing 14 damage here. And this is with Silence, Voices of the Risen. Also, this Echo being that big does suggest that there was a Golden Ambassador played this game.
There was. It's on the board.
Oh my god, Yep, okay. I'm going to sleep after this Swiss run. Oh dear. Oh
And this Rite of Negation, extra helpful, preventing that lifesteal from connecting in combat.
Which means we push 18 here. Now, did we play a cat? Unfortunately we jumped to this game on like turn 6, 7. So we don't know if there were cats played.
We don't know if cats.
The cat leaf was available. We could also find the rally lethal. Oh my god, we don't find it. Okay. I don't know if we should have gone for a prediction here or if we should have gone for Station Archivist. But I should predict, I guess we're more mana efficient. Alright, Asol's finally gonna hit the board. But I believe at this point it is quite impossible for Infinity Patrons to not revive this Echo. I would be immensely surprised if we can't find it.
I too would be quite surprised.
Bask in her radiant blessing.
Yo! We played an Echo spell somewhere this game. Oh, we take those. We take those.
An incredibly strong one when you do.
Also works with stunned units, by the way. Oh, wait. I think we power on convergence now. I think this is the one card one of my is not playing around right now with this play.
It looks like he was setting up to be just a bit wider than Infinite Patrons to find an Atra lethal with the Aurelian Soul that would be coming out. But this parallel convergence...
Alright, you have the box. It's funny that those units appear stunned, by the way. Again. But we have the box, we can get rid of 2 of these units. But yeah, we have to give up our white board.
You are beneath me. I cannot.
Oh, we are pushing so close to lethal. Oh, we're pushing so close to lethal. We actually won off on one of my side. That is incredibly tragic. Now then again, if we look at Infinity Patron's hand, once one of I would have gone for the atrocity, or we potentially would have seen just a scrying sands into a quicksand.
Yep.
Oh, wait a second, we see a quicksand now. No, we don't. Okay. Thinking, yeah, Infinity Patron just really has to think, how do I lose this game? And I think what am I healing back up to 6 is not how you lose this game. So I think it was a good play from Infinity Patrons here to just let this go.
Yeah. With the fake Echo striking giving us another time trick.
Our stories live on.
I would block this.
Heed
Yeah.
our words.
This not only prevents you from taking 10, but also it puts it into the grave, which means it can get revived, which means it will no longer be silenced. It's a win-win scenario. If we do finally find it. Yo, what is going on with these Echo decks? I swear to God, if I play against them, they always find it.
Things more exciting than an
No, what? We whiffed that one?
No spell Archivist.
Alright, again, one of my has technically lethal though. Next turn.
Yeah.
If Infinity Patron wouldn't have had the perfect hand for this exact scenario. Okay. We finally find it. Oh, forgot to show you guys. But yeah, we finally found it.
Yep. And removing that Aurelion Soul spell shield.
I do love an audience.
I do my own stunts.
Okay, the only way Infinity Patrons can lose here is
man. I'm
if they somehow screw up this turn. And I don't see it happening.
It would have to be a catastrophic blunder.
A blunder of epic proportions. Alright. We find another Echo. I'm not quite sure actually what we found there. Oh no, another Voices. Okay. Ooh, see. Ah, wait a minute. Wait a goddamn minute. I hope we don't play Voices in Rally. I hope we just Rally. I hope that is not the game plan here. Don't overdo it. Don't overdo it, Infinity Patrons. No!
Oh no!
No! No! One of I can't keep getting away with it. He can't get away with it. You just win with just a rally. You win with just a rally. Why do you play the Voices? Oh. Oh. I would like to say we have caster vision and everything. But I think I'm tired enough at 4:30 a.m. The caster vision actually doesn't count anymore.
Caster vision no longer matters. Math
Yeah.
isn't real. It can't hurt us.
Oh, but math definitely hurt Infinity Patrons there. Actually, it wasn't math. But I think that was just a classic tournament blunder. You forget what you can lose to. You forget to look at the deck list your opponent brought, and
Yeah, it looked like it was a long game, and you know, after playing multiple voices and having them silenced, maybe just the joy of getting to play Voices of the Risen and not have it silenced.
Finally.
The temptation was a bit too much.
Yeah. I get it. I get it. Sometimes I also go for the plays that pop off the most, you know. But yeah, unfortunately, losing to one of my is only out there, and I don't know what the score currently is, but that could potentially. Yeah, one of my was 2-1, so one of my is now 3-1, so potentially could make it into the top cut today. That is crazy. What a win. That said, by the way, one of my played to his outs. One of my really played to his outs really well. All right,
Yeah.
but with that, we have almost all the matches done, and I can already tell you that Flap and Void are 4-0, falling to the Void, and the
The
Phlebotomist?
phlebotomist.
The Phlebotomist TV. That's a hard one. We have Scathis, Russell, Scallywag, Grandpa Roji, the Black Boss, and Dudu de Nunu, and what am I at 3-1. Infinity Patrons at 2-2 now, joining Alexander, Kamapas, Yedivor, Maddie 24, Maddie 24 Mayo, and Knuk. Maddie 24 Mayo. Goddamn. What a name. That was it for the Swiss rounds, though. And we had some really exciting games today. What was your favorite game?
You know, I might get flack for this, but I think my favorite game was the Dueling Value Aphelios game that we saw between Squallywag and Jason.
Okay, you're a masochist. Oh my god.
I love slow Targon metas. They're my
No.
comfortable place.
Do you also like slow Anivia metas?
I'm a fan of Anivia. I've rekindled many an icy bird in my time.
Alright, you and Kedesis should definitely get together and play some scrims, you know? I think you two would be perfect for each other.
We'll see you in 37 turns.
Yes. Oh no. It's not about winning, it's about playing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The longer the game, the more fun you had.
Yeah, and the more skill you can express. Or not. I don't know. Some people say that aggro is actually the hardest deck to play.
Aggro, I think one of the best things about Legends of Runeterra is even the decks that have a reputation for being easier, there's still an immense amount of skill expression. Better players just win more.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. I think we see this every time in tournaments as well, when the win rates between decks in certain matchups just kind of change drastically if we have good players playing the decks and if not. For example, we just saw, obviously today it did not have the greatest performances because of a few low rolls, but Zilean Echo has an atrocious win rate if you look at like the Runeterra AR stats. But if you just look at the top % of players playing that deck, it has widely different stats and has completely different matchups all of a sudden. Some matchups that are according to some stats which take like all the players into account horrible. For good players, they say like, no, wait, this is actually favored for me.
Yeah, if you look at, the Plat Plus ladder data for Zilean Echo, the deck looks unplayable.
Oh yeah.
It's just garbage. Why would anyone do this to themselves? But then you see people like Scathis and Simon who've got a lot of experience with the deck, and they bring it to tournament, and they bring it to tournament consistently because it performs for them.
Yeah, and I would definitely like to see a few more specialist decks, to be honest, from some people. I feel like we, as a community, also have to do a better job at finding those. I feel like there are some people out there who consistently bring a few decks, but we're not really aware of it. And I hope this is going to continue, even though maybe the seasonal broadcasts are going to get scaled down. That we build a few more stories around players. Because, for example, I'm like a huge Roji fan just because of Malphite Taliyah. Also,
just because of Malphite.
Yeah.
He's
Also,
a big rock man. What's not to
Yeah.
love?
very big Rockman. I mean, if you watch Roji streams, he's also just a very chill dude. But it is an extra that he plays a lot of Malphite Taliyah. There's an extra that is added to the player, which is really fun to watch. But with that said, I would say I end the stream here because unfortunately it is almost 5 a.m. and I am really
Yeah.
tired.
We will unfortunately not bring you Top Cut today, but we hope you enjoyed the Swiss rounds. Thank you to MasteringRuneterra.com for having this tournament and having us back to cast. It was a wonderful time.
Absolutely wonderful time, and thank you again for joining. Was really fun again. This is the second time we've cast together, and I feel like at this point we have you as the control enjoyer and me as the, well,
Not control
not
enjoyer.
control enjoyer, the darkness hater. All my homies hate darkness. All my homies hate Aphelios. I have burning passion to hate those decks. But yeah, thank you all for watching, and we see you maybe in the future again. Goodbye.